The opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and Your Sports Network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look at my soul. I've been afraid I would follow alone. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Welcome on into a Wednesday edition of Running Point, presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. Ron Potesta with you. Familiar face on the other side. Anthony Hartwig back. He's here today, but he isn't here tomorrow. More softball in the horizon, and it should be fun.
Yeah, we got district championships all over the place. We had district semifinals all over the place the last 2 days. It's a fun time for softball for sure.
Yeah, and let's start the conversation with softball, and I guess we can scoot over to the Canfield district because
/YSU.
Yeah, the games are at YSU. I don't understand how the hell they're calling it the Canfield district. Whatever. Ursuline getting a victory over Burton Berkshire. That was to be expected. And Emily Holland.
Yeah, she just went like.
Yeah, she's. Yeah, she
enough
said.
of this.
Yeah, well, I'll throw a 6-inning no-hitter, 14 punch-outs, 1 walk. And that wasn't the best performance of the day by a pitcher.
No, but we'll just stay in the Canfield district for now. Nice tease, though.
Yeah.
Because the next game in the Canfield district, we had another. It was a fun game for another reason. You know, Billy Mack got to call a no-hitter in game 1. And then he goes to game 2 and gets to call a dramatic walk-off in the 8th inning.
It's a beautiful
What a day
thing.
for Billy Mack.
Yeah, no doubt.
No, Newton Falls came up with a big walk-off win over Rootstown in the 8th inning.
Yeah.
Holly Hedge had a good day, multiple hits, and I believe she hit in the winning runs too.
Yeah, so Newton Falls, I guess that you would say it's a slight upset. Well, it's not really an upset. Rootstown was the 9 seed. Newton Falls was the 8, so there's no upset there. Newton Falls will take on Ursuline for a district championship, and that will be tomorrow at 4 o'clock over at Farmers National Bank Field. The big story coming out of Division III is not here. It is out of town because in the Wellington district, not one, but 2 ginormous upsets. Wellington's gone from this tournament. And not only are they gone, they got their ass kicked. I mean, they got destroyed by Sheffield Brookside 12-3. So the number 1 seed is out. And Independence is out as well. They got shut out by West Salem Northwestern 2-0. So now you're looking at a 5 seed taking on a 6 seed, and the winner of that game is going to wind up playing either Ursuline or Newton Falls. Wow.
I thought Wellington was a little vulnerable. I never saw Independence getting beat in that district.
Yeah.
I mean, Northwestern has some pedigree. They've been to a couple of regional championships. In fact, back when South Range went to state in 2016, the team they beat in the regional championship game was Northwestern. So they have had a good program. I just thought by far Independence was the best team in that district. So very shocked. I didn't even know that. I was not informed of that information yet. That is. Ursuline is sitting there like, ooh.
if you're Ursuline, I mean, you certainly don't want to look ahead.
Can't look ahead. Can't skip over Newton Falls.
And you cannot disrespect Newton Falls because they're a really good program. But you also can't help but look and say, my goodness, our road to the state just got a whole lot better.
Right.
With Wellington out, with Independence out, and even if Ursuline gets upset, Newton Falls could very well, if they upset Ursuline, Newton Falls could be a regional finalist.
The logic goes, if you can beat Ursuline, you can beat whoever comes out of the Wellington district.
Yeah. So that was a real eye opener when I saw that. Not only did Wellington get beat, Independence got beat. Kind of makes me wonder, what does Northwestern have as far as pitching? Because if you're shutting that team out, holy smokes, you're doing something good. So that was what was going on the one side of the regional bracket. We made mention the no-hitter thrown by Emily Holland. She walked one. It was okay, but it wasn't as good as Bree Kohler.
Bree Kohler said, hold my water real quick. I got
I'm glad you.
Water.
I'm glad you G-rated that.
Yeah, water.
Yeah, because if you're over 21, Gatorade. We would say hold my beer.
In fact, it's orange Gatorade.
Yeah,
I saw it in the cooler.
Hold my Gatorade. I got something for you, and I am so glad South Range got the 500-pound gorilla out of the room in Kirtland, because I'm tired of hearing about that school.
Man, Bree Kohler was absolutely dominant, and for the first time this year, I saw her use a pitch that she used it consistently, I should say. I've seen her use it a couple times here and there, but she has developed this backdoor curve during the pandemic that goes at a right-handed hitter and then goes right into the inside corner of the strike zone. I don't know how many Kirtland hitters I saw do this, back up, and then the ball went right in for a strike. It was deadly, and the fact that she can throw that, plus her rise ball, plus her two-seam fastball, plus a changeup, and she was hitting them all their spots. Kirtland couldn't even put the ball in play. They only had 3 girls put the ball in play.
Yeah. You don't have to ask very much of your defense if only 3 balls are put into play. Bree Kohler, 15 punch-outs in a 6-inning game, no walks, a perfect game. Thank God she didn't have Kirtland's defense behind her, because it wouldn't have been a perfect game, because they committed 7 errors.
That's why I felt for their pitcher, who Gianna Cantini for Kirtland has pitched every inning this season for Kirtland.
Yeah.
And she didn't really pitch that badly. She didn't give up too many hard hit balls, maybe 2 or 3. But her defense just kind of kept failing her.
All right, let's go to the phone lines. Mr. Football is going to chime in. Mr. Football, you're on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. What's going on, brother?
Are you non-masking today while at work, or is that?
I don't. Listen, I'm double vaccinated. I'm not wearing a mask unless I'm forced to. I'm not wearing a mask now.
Well, yesterday I know you weren't aware of it, but at our local Racino, at around 2:00, they made the announcement over the loudspeaker. I thought the place was on fire. I was looking for the exit, and they said, as of 2:00, the Racino no longer requires masking. You may take your mask off.
Wow.
Some people kept theirs on, and some people kept theirs on. I'm curious today when I go down to make my appearance down there.
Was there a big bonfire full of masks at that moment?
A couple of the senior citizens were going, "What did he say?"
What did he say?
He said something about ass. No, not ass. Mask.
You can take it off.
You can take that ass off. Take my ass off. What are you talking about? No, mask.
You can take it off. No, not your shirt. Your mask.
I love when the older lady, senior citizen ladies go, "Hey, Sonny, can you do? Hey, Sonny," and I go, "Yes, ma'am." Yeah, be very cordial to them. So someday you'll be like that if you last long enough.
Hey, listen, I'm already like that, Vince. That's no 2 ways about it. Hey, I got a question for you, because
what is it, my friend?
You know so many people over in the Racino, and the state of Ohio is ever so close to becoming a sports book state, and we're all looking forward to that. Is there any plans right now as to which floor is going to be the sports book floor? Will the bottom floor be the horse racing floor and the top floor be the sports book floor?
as rumor has it from some of the people that work there, and I know you're not a participant. If you live closer, you probably get there 3 days a week, like some of us do. But from what I understand, the bottom floor by the food court will become the Betsino, where you could be placing your wagers on your favorite team of choice, whether it's baseball, football, and or hockey. But that's where they're planning to put it. They're going to cut the food court down a little bit and have the television screens and the cages to bet in that area of the Racino.
I don't even understand that because I'm thinking in my head, there's not enough room there, Vince.
Well, that's what the one person told me, that if it goes, it's going to go down there. Now, whether they move that food court to another venue or another part of the Racino and make that whole area the sports book, I don't know.
I mean, it just makes more sense if you use one of the spots for the horses. If you use one of those spots for the sports book and keep the horse racing in the other spot, I think it would be a perfect scenario.
Oh, I agree with you wholeheartedly. What I'm thinking, since the horses are not running there till October, but then that conflicts if they knock out the bottom part. I know where you could go out in the paddock and look at the horses, getting saddled and all that stuff. If they would use that as the Racino, as a sports book, that's going to interfere with the horse thing there. So that's why I think they're putting it in that area, and they might move or eliminate the food court, but I don't. That's not me to.
Well, we can't eliminate this food court. Ron will never show up.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I mean, their food is okay. I mean, it's
okay.
I mean,
palatable.
I've had better.
Skybox restaurant. Now their main restaurant at the Skybox.
Oh my God.
It's good.
Let me tell you something. That Sky Bar restaurant is phenomenal. I will give you that. That is a phenomenal restaurant.
And if you're a frequent, how should I put this, patron of the Racino, and on your card, at the end of the month, you gander enough points that you and your lovely better half could go up there a couple times a month and get FREE free dinner.
Yeah.
Because of the amount of points that you put. The only thing you don't pay for, of course, is your adult beverages.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, you have to throw a tip in there as well. I mean, just because you're getting a free meal doesn't mean you're going to stiff the waiter or waitress. That's kind of disrespectful.
No. You always, it's good service. You properly tip accordingly.
Indeed. Indeed.
Now, Ronnie, I don't know where you were on Saturday, but made a couple of wagers. And the one wager we did have, the horse that ran first and second, we had him in an exact box. I wanted the horse that ran second to run first, if you know what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying.
But we still got a $49.80 that covered all my other bets on the games, and we came out with a slight profit on that one.
I came away with a $60 profit because I hit the superfecta.
Complimentos.
I hit the superfecta, and a blind squirrel finds a nut, and a broken clock is right twice a day. So
I hope you had it 5 times.
No, I only had it for a dime, unfortunately. So
that's even a better profit.
Well, I mean, I only had it
a dime up.
Yeah, I only had it for 10 cents. So. It's very little profit. So, but it was fun. I watched
victory for you.
Yeah, I watched it and I was like, those numbers look familiar. Wait a second, I know I bet on this horse to win. I wonder if I looked it up and I was like, dang, I did do this. So yeah, it was. I'm a little disappointed that I didn't get more because I was thinking the superfecta was going to pay $200, but it only paid $105 if I'm not mistaken.
Well, just like Mickey the Bookie said one time, you try to win a lumberyard putting up matchsticks when you bet at 10-cent supers. If you get that gravitational pull.
I understand, sir. Yes.
You understand that. Ronnie, I haven't talked to you for a while since the end of the as we say it, the spring football season for YSU Fighting Penguins. I think this was like a porthole look into the near future, which is only 4 months away. That YSU knows their limitations and knows what they got to work on football-wise coming up to the new season, and for them to compete with their how many years in a row a member from our conference has won the national championship.
Well, South Dakota State didn't win it this time around. Sam Houston beat them.
Sam Houston, to get to that game, I meant.
Yeah, well, they got to the game, I think, 8 or 9 years in a row now. So it's our league certainly brings.
Their quarterback didn't get hurt. I think it would have been a much different game for.
Agreed.
South Dakota. Yeah.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm. But now I'm just looking at you're on the sidelines, Ronnie. You see what's going on. Where our new coach has to get to that point. Right now, we're not there, and he needs to show where we're wanting to and where we must get players to fill in or plug into that. Your comments, Ron.
I think the biggest thing that is holding YSU back right now is the fact that they're young. They're a very young football team. More than half of the kids on this team are either redshirt freshmen or true freshmen. It's an extremely young team. There were some guys left over from Coach Pelini that decided to move on. I'm still thinking that between now and early August, the porthole is going to be used to shore up some positions. I wouldn't be surprised if the Penguins get a couple of wide receivers through the porthole. But, there's going to be growing pains. There's some really good parts of this team that I like. There are some parts of this team that scare the hell out of me. But if you can get these kids to get better game in, game out this year, they should be able to win a few games, and they should be a whole lot better in 2022. I would ask for the community to have a little bit of patience because, you know this better than I do, Vince. You've played the game. You simply cannot win a championship with a team filled with a bunch of freshmen or redshirt freshmen. That's just not going to happen. It's not realistic. So I think this is going to be a year in which the team is going to have some growing pains. They'll certainly win more than one game this fall. But I think their giant step forward will be in 2022.
I agree with you, Ronnie. And for the fans out there that are listening to YSU football, this isn't the 1968 Ohio State super soft team with Rex Kern, Mitch Sajowski, Brockington, and Tatum on it. Our kids are not at that level. They're not going to. It's going to take a period of time, and they're going to have to get people to back these starters up, which we don't have right now. And I think the coach got to get more than 1 year recruitment in there, maybe 2-3 years. Then look at the program and say, does he have the right people in the right places?
Yeah,
so I believe that their quarterback's the right kid. I think he is, but he doesn't have the people that can protect him. Or, Ronnie, you know as well, we talked about it during their brief season. When you need a 12-yard out pattern, their wide out downfields are running 7 yards. They're not getting open.
Yeah, well, there's no separation or hardly any separation between the receiver and the defensive back. When the passes are there, you have to hold your breath because there were a lot of drop passes. I don't think that Wade did enough to say, hey, you're our guy, no questions asked. I don't think he did enough to warrant that. But I do think that if he continues to grow, he's going to be the guy for the job. I think the offensive line improved enough where they should be able to take a good step forward this year. Lord knows the running game is solid. Now we just need to get some production, some consistency from the receivers and the tight ends to catch passes consistently. And if they can, I think this team will be in good shape. There's other things.
Defense looked good. It's not a championship defense, but at times their defense held the ground enough for them to win a couple, 3 more games.
No, I agree with that. I think the defense is far ahead of.
Lacking.
Yeah, I think the defense is ahead of the offense at this point. And I think the defense is in better shape than the offense at this point. But if the receivers and tight ends can consistently catch passes, then I think we're looking at a team that could take a good step forward. Now, is it a playoff team? No. I'll be stunned if this team is a playoff team this fall. But I think that this team could be good enough to flirt with 500 this year. And that's not a bad thing. If you can go from 1 win to 5-5, I'll take it. And then take your giant step forward in 2022. I'll take it.
They got to get their ducks in a row, and they got to get the right people in the right spots for this team to be consistent enough to pose a threat. This year, no one was afraid of them. When back in the day, when we talk about it so many times, teams were kind of scared to come into the formerly known as the Ice Palace, or the Ice Castle. They were scared to come into play YSU because they were so talented back there.
Yeah.
They had players that could play on the next level that were playing here at YSU and contributing and making their team a formidable foe in the formerly division known as 1AA.
Yeah, it was. And you're right. You're right, Vince. It was a perfect storm. The '90s was a perfect storm. The MAC wasn't a good conference, and YSU was very successful in taking kids away that could have gone to Kent State or Akron, but had no desire to go to to those schools because the conference was bad. Now the MAC is a pretty decent mid-major conference, and you can watch the kids play on national television, albeit on Tuesday evenings, but neither here nor there. It's not a perfect storm anymore, and the recruiting is a whole lot more difficult now because of the fact that the MAC is it's nationally televised, where the FCS isn't. The Missouri Valley Football Conference isn't. So there's an advantage there, and the recruiting is a little bit more difficult today than it was, say, 25, 30 years ago. Vince, we got to go, brother.
Good luck to you, Ronnie.
Thank you. Appreciate it. 330-886-0813. The MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning hotline open for business. All right, Bree Kohler, the perfecto against Kirtland. So South Range is in the championship game in their district, and they will be facing. Who will they be facing?
Guess who? Who's the top dog in Division III until someone beats them?
That would be Champion.
I know.
And
they keep finding ways to win. It wasn't pretty against Gilmore Academy. They didn't really pitch that well. Cassidy Schaefer couldn't find her spots. They had to bring in Emma Gumond, who pitched pretty decently, but Emma Gumond is fast, so if you barrel her up, it's going to go, and Gilmore Academy hit a grand slam to tie things up at 8. But Champion's offense, though, kind of picked up their pitcher's slack and scored 11 runs and was really hitting on all cylinders, and 11-8, 11-9 victory, I think, was the final score.
Yeah, 11-9.
But 2 different games, because one, we saw 2 pitchers pitch pretty well. I mean, Kirtland's pitcher, like I said, didn't pitch a bad game. She just wasn't really helped out with her defense. I mean, only 3 or 4 hard-hit balls from South Range. And then the other one, it was just like the offenses came to play and the pitchers were struggling.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see what kind of tempo we have for a district championship game. But I will say this.
Here's the storyline, though. The storyline is both these teams are the last team that each other lost to in the tournaments. Because, of course, Champion knocked out South Range in 2019. And Champion hasn't lost a tournament game since way back in, well, not, but you know what I mean, 2016, when South Range beat them out in the regional semifinals to go to the state tournament.
State championship game where they lost to Wheelersburg.
Right. So Champion hasn't lost a tournament game since then. So South Range is the last team to beat Champion out of a tournament, and Champion is the last team to beat South Range out of a tournament.
This will be fun. This will definitely be fun. And then you look over at the Creston district. Massillon-Tuslaw had a little bit of a tussle with Akron-Manchester, but they wound up beating them 5-4. So the third seed is in the district championship game. The big story is Creston-Norwayne out of the tournament.
No way!
Sullivan Black River shut them out 3-0. So you're looking at the 7 seed Sullivan Black River taking on number 3 Massillon-Tuslaw for a trip to the regional, and the winner of that district plays the winner of Champion and South Range. And if you're Champion and South Range, like Ursuline, you're looking at this and saying, okay, we get past this district championship game. We have a date possibly with Ursuline. I'm looking at this region. I'm going to say it right now.
Tuslaw is tough.
Well,
Tuslaw could win that district.
yeah.
But I thought Norwayne was the best team in the district going in. So I thought both teams in the other districts who I thought were the better team got beat.
Yeah.
So
Okay, so what are the chances now that we have these upsets? What are the chances now of an all-local regional championship game?
chances are good. Whether it's Champion or South Range, I think both those teams have a pretty decent chance, especially if Emily Holland pitches like she did last night, and if Bree Kohler pitches like she did last night. Then it's going to be tough for anyone. I mean, even if there weren't upsets, it would be tough for anyone to beat pitching performances like that.
Yeah, this is.
I don't want to get because I don't want to discount Newton Falls.
Oh no! You can't discount Newton Falls
and
or
of course,
Champion.
We none of the Champion South Range. No one can make the same mistake that other people in the districts did and overlook people, because I bet Norwayne overlooked. Black River.
Yeah.
And I bet Independence looked over Northwestern. So.
Well, look, Sullivan Black River obviously has a pretty good pitcher, because if you're shutting out Norwayne, you're doing something.
That, or there are times when you just the hitters don't have a great approach and they can't get out of the funk, or it could have been you've seen it plenty of times. You hit balls hard. They just go
right at someone,
right into the defense,
yeah.
and the defense makes plays.
And this is where the luck portion of winning a state championship comes into play, because you can hit a ball on the screws, but if it's right at someone, sorry about your luck.
Sorry about it.
Now you can hit a duck snort into the outfield and have it drop in, and okay, which one looked better?
Right.
Well, obviously the person that just hit it on the screws looks better, but that person didn't get on base because that person hit it right at someone, where this little a little duck snort into the outfield and they get on base. So that's a cheap hit. Well, the cheap hit wins out because the hard hit ball didn't do diddly.
Get on base any way you can.
Exactly.
That's the name of the
exactly.
game.
So I'm just looking at this, and you're 2 wins away from an all-local regional championship, which, look, we'll tout our company because we love our company. This is why YSN was created. Right. If we have an all-local regional championship,
we're guaranteed a team in the state.
It's days like that make YSN smile.
And that means we can officially pack our bags for Akron Firestone Stadium.
Yeah, but just the opportunity to broadcast it doesn't matter which one of you go to Akron, we're going to be happy. Right. We're going to commiserate with the team that doesn't win, but we're going to be happy because one of our kids is going to Akron.
We have a lot of kids.
Yeah, we had a lot of teams on that brick. So but again, you have to play the games. So Ursuline plays Newton Falls tomorrow.
Well, that's Newton Falls is one of our teams, so that's an all YSN district championship. We're guaranteed someone into that regional semifinal game, which is another good thing for YSN.
Yeah, and the other one is Champion and South Range.
The other one is an all YSN district championship. So no matter what, we're getting 2 teams in the regional semifinals. We just hope that 2 teams end up in the regional final
which would be amazing. That would be absolutely amazing. All right, we're going to take a timeout because we got Division 2. Not just Division 3, but Division 2 had their district semifinals, and I seem
got a little crazy.
I seem to think that a couple of weeks ago we were saying beware of Hubbard because this team has the pedigree and the panache to take care of business.
He's getting a little fancy. I think he's a little jazzed up for his night with Coco.
You think?
He brought us the Thorith. He's using words like commiserate.
Is there another word for thesaurus?
I don't know. I'll have to look at my thesaurus.
That's one of my favorite jokes. I think it was Mitch Hedberg, who's since passed away.
Oh my
god! He had the deadpan Stephen Wright type of thing.
His stand up was so random. Complete didn't tell a story.
Just random stuff.
Jokes.
And he just deadpan said, "Does anybody have another word for thesaurus?" It's like, what the frick? Okay. I'll give you that one. That's good.
Stoned as all get out.
Oh, Lord. Yeah, he was. He may have had a drug problem, which ultimately killed him, unfortunately. Oof. Boy, that guy was funny,
I think he was pretty adamant about his drug problem. He didn't hide it.
Yeah, no, he didn't. All right, 330-886-0813. We have Division II softball to talk about coming up in a bit. Stick around.
New things happen all day. Some are good, some not so good. In today's complicated world, while you're busy working, playing, and living life, we're busy helping you make sense of the day's news. And there's only one place where it comes together with clarity, context, and accountability. It's 21 News at 6 with me, Madison Tromler, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 6. It's what the day's news really means to you.
Welcome home to a home made homier with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Inspiration starts at BairdBrothers.com and is turned into reality when high-quality hardwoods are delivered right to your home. Baird Brothers has the latest design trends, shiplap and skinny lap interior siding, antique oak rustic flooring, and, well, you'll find them all at BairdBrothers.com. Ordered easily, delivered conveniently, enjoyed comfortably. BairdBrothers.com.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Hi, this is Jim Myers with Myers Family Insurance, your local Medicare and retirement resource. We're excited to have sports back. Whether you're on the field or cheering from the stands, sports unifies communities and brings hope for the future. We're all one team working together. At Myers Family Insurance, we know the importance of a great team.
Our team continues to grow to help you with your Medicare and retirement needs.
The annual election period is October 15th through December 7th. Now's the time to make sure your plan continues to meet your needs for the upcoming year.
Call today.
Hi, I'm Colin Chupa. And I'm Kelsey Clem from K-Squared Marketing. Our boutique marketing firm specializes in media planning and buying, public relations, event marketing strategies, and strategic sponsorships. We can integrate our services with your existing game plan, or we can be your entire marketing team. Your goals, our game plan. Let's win together. Call K-Squared Marketing at 330-623-2730 or visit ksquared.marketing to learn more.
Your first and last stop with your tax return should be with me, Tracy Bryden at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. No other dealer goes the extra mile to bring you the largest selection of vehicles at one convenient location. With guaranteed credit approval, I will find you the right vehicle and the right financing options for you. I am ready to go the extra mile to show you why no other dealer sells more cars, finances more, and gets you more for your refund than Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the 4 words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
Jimmy Sudman here, Director of Isle, Purple Cat, and Golden String. We are happy to support YSN and 2 of my favorite people, Scotty Mincher and Super Dave O'Malley. We are an agency that provides services for adults with disabilities. We infuse humor, passion, and joy into their lives. If you know of any folks with disabilities that need our assistance, please contact us.
teams work hard and give it all they've got. Well, so does ours, because 21 Sports and YSN give you extra effort when covering local sports. 21 Sports and YSN, winning coverage of our Valley's teams.
When looking for home design inspiration, don't just be inspired, be Baird inspired. Whether new or remodeling, Baird Brothers has the latest trends like shiplap to refresh your home. Go from inspiration to installation with our wide selection of in-stock American hardwoods. From the rustic charm of antique oak to the warmth of traditional cherry, Baird Brothers has what you need to make your home inspiring. Baird Brothers, our family's heritage, your family's home.
Hey, coming up at the top of the hour, we will talk golf. The PGA Championship is this weekend over in South Carolina. Brian Tolnar will be calling in, unless, of course, he's getting swallowed up by all the business that's going on right now at Mill Creek. I got to imagine they're busier than a one-legged man in a butt-kicking contest now.
It's been nice out this week.
Woof. Yeah, it's been
even
gorgeous.
Today, there's not a cloud in the sky. Beautiful.
What are you doing, a Mitch Hedberg? Now that we've been talking about deadpan comedians, and now you're going to be doing the rest of the show going, yeah, it's going to be a really nice day.
It's going to be a really nice day. Not a cloud in the sky.
Not a cloud in the sky. Yeah.
Don't ask what I did during the commercial break.
No. What goes on in the commercial break stays during the commercial break.
It's a beautiful day.
Yes, indeed. Division II up in Hubbard.
Ooh, it's getting crazy.
Yeah, no kidding. Game number 1 was a little crazy. Girard actually had a 4-0 lead going into the bottom of the 4th inning against the top seed Marlington Dukes, and then Marlington said enough. They put up a 12 spot in the 4th inning, and that was the one bad inning that cost Girard. But, I mean, one inning aside, Girard outplayed Marlington for 6 innings.
Your season can come down to one bad inning.
Yeah.
And unfortunately for Girard, they had it. You look at Marlington. We talked about it a little bit during the commercial break, and that can come into the, it doesn't stay in the commercial break. But Marlington hasn't put their best foot forward in this tournament. I mean, They really struggled with Lakeview. They had to walk Lakeview off 12-11. They were down 3-2. They went out ahead 8-3. They thought, okay, we got this. Lakeview came back and tied it. Then Marlington went ahead 11-8. They said, we got this. Marlington gave up 3 in the 7th and had to walk it off in the bottom. And then, they come in and they really don't start well against Girard, and they need a big 12-run inning to kind of save them. So Marlington, don't know what's going on. The 1 seed that won the EBC looked really impressive all season. Kind of struggling a little bit in this tournament, and maybe that's a little door creeping open for Hubbard, who's coming in with a lot of momentum. And Isabella O'Brien is pitching extremely well as a freshman. You don't know what you don't know. And Marlington better watch out, because they're not going to score a 12-run inning against Hubbard.
Well, and here's the other thing. I don't know if this was a legit 12 runs or if Girard committed most of their 6 errors in that inning, preventing or I should say opening the floodgates for Marlington. The one thing that bothers me about Marlington is they committed 4 errors last night. If you commit 4 errors against Hubbard, and even if Canfield had beaten Hubbard last night, if you commit 4 errors against either Hubbard or Canfield, you're not beating those teams. So for Marlington, they only had 7 hits in the ball game. I mean, they took advantage of 6 Girard errors. And I don't know how many of those 12 runs that were scored were actually earned runs.
Here's how the 6th inning went. I can go down play by play. Miller singled, and then there was an error. And then another single made 4-1. Single made it 4-3. Now this is the game changer scoring. So it's Girard scoring this. So you would think that Girard scores would be a little bit more tendency to
protect their pitchers.
Right. So another single.
Okay.
Sacrifice bunt, 1 out.
All right.
A drop third strike and
that's not an error, but it's a mental error.
Hit by pitch brought in a run, 4-4. It's
okay.
Tied. Single made it 6-4. Single made it 7-4. Fielder's choice made it 8-4 with 2 outs. Error made it 9-4. A walk, an error made it 10-4. So it got out of hand with the errors, but the inning was already
the inning was already wide open.
It was 6-4 without errors.
All right.
So and then I think probably once you got to 4-run inning, 5-run inning, Girard kind of panicked a little bit and got a little bit tight.
Yeah. Then one of the errors was early on, so you got to figure of the 6 runs, 5 of them were earned, and then things went sideways. And that's all right. But Marlington's 4 errors, like I said, you're not going to beat Hubbard with 4 errors. That's just not going to happen. The game of the night was right after the Marlington-Girard game. Hubbard and Canfield. I would even say this is the game of the night, with all due respect to Bree Kohler, with all due respect to Emily Holland, who both looked unbelievable. This was the game of the night.
This wasn't a no-hitter or a perfect game, but what makes it a little bit more impressive was O'Brien. One, I've already said she's a freshman, so never experienced tournament play before. But she pitched these high-pressure situations all the time. They had a 1-0 lead. It wasn't like, South Range was up 10-0. Well, actually, they were gradually up. They walked it off in the 10th, but they were always in control of that game. Ursuline, the same thing. They were always in control of that game. Hubbard, they just had one little bad pitch, this game's tied. One little bad pitch, one little bad inning, we're out of it. So every pitch was a high-pressure pitch, and O'Brien just nailed the test every time. And it was super impressive.
Yeah, Canfield scored a run in the bottom of the 7th inning. Could have won the game, but again, all credit to O'Brien for stopping the bleeding. And then Hubbard scratched across the run in the top of the 8th inning. Canfield bats in the bottom of the 8th.
Just came down and shut them down.
It just, man, was this good. 16 punch-outs, no walks, 2 runs, 6 hits, no errors. Canfield 1 run, 3 hits, 1 error. Toth, a tough luck loser because she pitched a good game. Right. 9 strikeouts, 2 walks. Lauren Fitzgerald had 2 hits in the game for Canfield. She had 2 of the 3 hits, 2 doubles in the game. Madison Angelo had the other double for Canfield. The 3 hits were all doubles. Jillian Reiser had 2 hits. O'Brien had 2 hits. So O'Brien not only helping herself on the mound, she had a couple of hits, including a double. Just a solid win. And a couple of weeks ago, we had sat back and said, look, this team goes out of state and plays against some really, really good competition. Forget about this 16-9 record because they played some top-shelf competition this year.
And the one thing, the Hubbard played really well against Ursuline. They played really well against Marlington. They already played Marlington, by the way. Marlington walked them off. But until that last game against Poland, they weren't showing up against the top teams in the conference for whatever reason. They got wiped out in 2 games against South Range. The first game against Poland beat them like 13-1. And then they just kind of said, you know what, enough of this. We're going to show that we can compete with the league. And they finally did it. They beat Poland, I think, the 5-4, somewhere around there. And they caused the share of the NEA title with South Range and Poland. But I think that game was huge because that gave Hubbard all the confidence they needed. Because they finally got that monkey off their back where they said, we belong with the talk of the top teams in the conference. They're not going to win it this year, but they can still say we took down a couple of the top teams. We took down Poland, and they can have a lot of confidence going into this Marlington game, knowing they already pushed them to the brink.
Yeah. Now on the other side, with the region, Worcester Triway, the 2 seed, had absolutely no problems with Hoban. They shut them out 10-0. So the 2 seed moves into the district championship game.
In the Akron district, right?
Yeah, in the Akron district.
Playing at Firestone State.
And they're going to be playing Copley, who buried Medina Buckeye 12-3. So Copley with the upset. The 7 seed will play the 2 seed Worcester Triway. So whoever comes out of that, and I think Worcester Triway is going to be the favorite because they're the 2 seed. This is a team that will have already played 2 games at Firestone Stadium, and they'll face the winner of Hubbard and Marlington in a regional semifinal matchup.
And Triway is having maybe the best season in their program's history. So They're led by a couple of high caliber Division I commits. I believe Haley Massaro is actually already signed to play at Ohio State, and then she's got a little sister on the team. So very talented Tri-Way team. I wouldn't be surprised at all if they came out of that district. But with what we've seen in Division III, nothing's a given. So, but I would expect Tri-Way would be the team that comes out of that district.
Okay, so here we go up to Jefferson, and immediately surprised. I mean, I don't know if this is a big surprise. West Branch beating Aurora.
It's 5 versus 3, and I think the biggest surprise for me is I thought, okay, if West Branch is going to win, they're going to do it a really low scoring game, and it was 5-3. It wasn't high scoring, but I thought, okay, if they're going to win, Jordan Anderson's going to either shut a team out or hold them to 1 or 2 runs. They scored 3 on Anderson. And but West Branch's offense really stepped up 5-3. They scored 5 runs, and they're moving on. And now Jordan Anderson gets another chance to pitch in a district championship game. And when you have a pitcher like that, you always have a chance to win games.
Well, we were hoping they were going to play Poland. Mogadore Field said, no, we're going to take care of you. And they did 9-2. That was a tough matchup for Poland.
I think, unfortunately for Poland, relying on the one pitcher for the whole season finally caught up with them a little bit. I thought they'd be a little bit of a reprieve with that week with rain last week, where she would get a break. But you've still pitched almost every inning, and she hadn't pitched a varsity inning before this year. It was a lot to ask of Katie McDonald. She had a great year considering all the stuff that I just said. But at the end of the day, it wears down on you, and I think it kind of caught up with them last night. And then Field's pitching staff had a really good night. They shut down the Poland offense, which is pretty hard to shut down. Mary Brandt, still another impressive freshman, still got a home run, still trying to give Poland some life. But they just couldn't muster enough offense, and their pitching kind of ran out of gas a little bit.
West Branch's chances against Field.
I think good. I think Field was the underdog in that game. I think their offense, despite they scored 9 on Katie McDonald, I get it, but Jordan Anderson, different animal. I think their offense is containable. And if West Branch's offense can find the timely hits, if Sydney Mercer can get going and get that power going, and people like J.C. Thomas and Jordan Anderson in that lineup make it really deadly. So if they can get timely hitting and Anderson's on, then I think their chances are pretty good at winning that district.
Well, there's a couple of kids on this team, on this Field team, that you're going to have to really hold them accountable. Hurd and Schmidt both homered. Hurd drove in 3, Schmidt drove in 2. You keep the ball in the ball yard. To have any chance of winning. And
if you can't keep it in the yard, make sure you keep the bases empty.
Yeah.
Because solo shots are solo shots. If both of them hit 1 home run, 2-0.
Yeah.
So keep the people behind them off the base pass, and then you can really pitch aggressively to them.
The other side of the regional bracket, this would be the Canton district, saw Richfield Revere say Coventry's coming on the horse, and they were prepared. That's a historical reference. Sorry,
he pulled out it took me like a couple of seconds, and it's Revere. Okay,
yeah. Richfield Revere shutting out Coventry 3-0. The 3 seed moves into the district championship game.
They're hoping it's not Revere's last ride.
Nice, well played, sir. Well played. Golf clap for you. They will wind up playing Norton. Norton knocked off Talmadge 5-2. So Norton said, "Talmadge, I don't like you. To the moon."
One of these days, Talmadge.
One of these days, pow!
Pow right in the gizzard.
All right, so Norton is going to be playing Richfield Revere, and the winner will get the winner of West Branch and Field in the regional semifinals.
So all of our district championships are set, which is fun. I mean, we got Division 1 and 4 tonight. Austintown Fitch going up against Hoover. I'll have that call. Then we got McDonald fighting for a district championship, and we have Brookfield fighting for a district championship. Brookfield, by the way, I didn't get to talk about them because I wasn't here yesterday, but man, did they look impressive against Lisbon?
Yeah, they sure did.
12-1, just put their foot down.
Yeah, that was impressive.
And they're gonna. I think they might give Matthews a run for their money.
We'll see. We'll see how this works. By the way, in the Austintown district, they play the Massillon district, and that story is Massillon Perry moving on, beating Hudson in the district semifinals. So they're the 4 seed, and they're playing Green, who beat Uniontown Lake. So the 4 versus the 6.
I think
for a district championship.
I actually think Green is a better team. You know, we throw seeds out the window for Division I. I mean,
sure.
We talked about when Boardman won the sectional championship, they were playing the 12 seed, who was 17-5. The Hoover is Chardon was the 8 seed, who Austintown Fitch beat 4-2. But Hoover, Chardon was like 18-6. Hoover's the 5 seed. Yeah, everyone's good in Division I. If you're 1 through 15, you're a solid softball team, and I think Green just matches up a little bit. I think Green would win that district.
Yeah, and looking at the other districts,
as much as it pains me to, back up a team with that awful red power team.
Yeah, I know, I feel your pain.
Except Gerard.
Except for
okay.
Gerard. I was going to say,
okay.
you don't be disrespecting one of our children
Gerard
over there.
changed it a little bit. Gerard made it a little bit stretchy, so it's good.
Okay.
We're all good.
All right.
They're not the Bulldogs.
The other Division I region, because Fitch will be playing the Massillon region winner. The other region consists of the Barberton district and the Mentor district, and we made mention of this yesterday.
Funny that Mentor wasn't. They decided not to even go in their own district. I mean, they lost to Boardman. They thought they could go and play in the Fitch, because I think Mentor has turf for their softball facility.
Yes.
So I'm thinking they probably thought they had a better chance to go and win in this district for whatever reason, and I was really shocked when the draws came out and I saw Mentor go away from their own district.
Yeah, it was weird. Anyway, the 3 seed in the Barberton district is gone. Brecksview, Broadview Heights got buried by Avon. Ding dong, Avon calling. Yeah, there you go. And they weren't making a house call. They were making we're going to pull you out of the house, beat you over the head with a shovel, and leave you for dead. St. Joe's Academy shut out Strongsville, so it'll be the 5 seed St. Joe's Academy taking on number 6 Avon in the Barberton district. The winner of that district will play the winner of the Mentor district, and the Mentor district has the 2 seed Walsh Jesuit, who beat Madison 1-0.
Walsh is so good.
And they will be taking on New Philadelphia, who buried Painesville Riverside. I take that back. I'm looking at seeds. Good Lord. New Philadelphia beat Painesville Riverside 1-0. So New Philadelphia, the 7 seed, taking on Walsh Jesuit.
That's a big upset. Riverside losing, because Riverside is one of the only 2 teams to beat Fitch this year. A very strong program. They tied with Hoover in that conference at the top. So I'm kind of surprised that Riverside lost.
The 8 teams that are left in the region that Fitch is in, Walsh Jesuit is going to be playing New Philadelphia in the Mentor district. The winner of that game will take on the winner of Avon and St. Joe's Academy. That encompasses one region. And then Fitch, if they get past North Canton Hoover, they would play the winner of the Massillon region, which is Massillon Perry and Green. All of a sudden, and I don't like looking.
And by the way, that regional will be in Massillon as well.
Yes.
So they're going to have the more games under their belt at Massillon Washington High School.
Yeah, absolutely. But I love Fitch if they can get out of their district. I really love Fitch.
They got to get past Hoover. Hoover, Sydney Cooch is going to be coming. She's a Robert Morris commit in the circle. So I think it's going to be a straight-up pitcher's duel between Spalding and Cooch, and whichever offense can find ways to scratch across runs. I mean, Maddie Taylor put on a cape for Fitch in Game 1 because they were struggling on offense. They scratched across 1 run to tie the game with really good base running. And then Maddie Taylor came up and hit a 2-run shot to give them a 4-2 lead, and that's all they really needed because Lydia Spalding was pitching lights out.
You saw Hoover and their dominant performance against Boardman. Yep. If they play like that, could they beat Fitch?
Yes.
Okay.
Because there wasn't a hole. I mean, they played. They made all the defensive plays. Cooch is a Division I pitcher. She was pitching really well, and they hit really well. Even Cooch isn't their best hitter. She's down the 7th spot, but she came up with a couple of clutch hits for them. So they're a complete team. And if Cooch is on and their defense backs her up, not a big strikeout pitcher. She does pitch to contact a little bit more, so they're going to rely on their defense making plays. But yeah, this could definitely not a sure thing for Fitch, not at all.
Okay, Matthews is taking on Brookfield in the Candlelight Knolls District Championship game. McDonald will be playing East Canton. That's going to be a war. This was all chalk in Division I. Right. And kudos to the 4 teams that were in the top 4. They all get to the district championship.
It's hard to go chalk in Division. Wait, is chalk in Division 4?
Chalk in Division 4.
Brookfield was chalk?
Yeah, they're chalk.
They were the higher seed? I thought it was 4. I thought Lisbon was the 4.
No. Brookfield is the 4.
Oh.
Yeah, Lisbon was the 5.
Okay, my bad.
Yeah, so 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3 in the district championship games. By the way, in the other regional, East versus Richfield, you will see Strasburg Franklin got upset by Tuscarora Central Catholic, so they're out of the tournament. And Conotton Valley will be playing Tuscarora Central Catholic for a district championship in the East District. Meanwhile, in the Richfield District, it will be Cuyahoga Heights, the top seed over there. They will be taking on number 3 Mogador, who upset number 2 Jeromesville Hillsdale 7-5. So Mogador and Cuyahoga Heights playing in a district championship. Richfield and East in their regional semis, and then we have a potential all local. Well, it will be all local. It just won't be, or it could be all local.
Could be all local.
Could be all YSN local. But it could also be all local if it's Matthews and McDonald. The fly in the ointment is East Canton.
McDonald will go as far as Bricallo will take them because their offense is going to scratch across runs. McDonald's offense isn't the one that's going to beat you into a pulp, but they're going to score, 2-3 runs here and there. They're disciplined. They're not going to make base running mistakes, things like that. But they'll go as far as their pitcher can take them, and so far she's taken them pretty far. I mean, she threw a no-hitter in the district semifinals.
Yeah,
when they didn't play the sectional finals, so that was their first tournament.
When we sit back and say, "Oh, yeah, she's got a no-hitter," okay,
17 strikeouts, whatever, no-hitter. That's what it's getting to.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we're getting used to this, Bree. It's like, can you do something a little more impressive?
Throw backwards.
Yeah. Hit quick, no look strike. Whoa!
All right, now we're gonna make it like a pinata. We're gonna blindfold you, spin you out a couple times.
Yeah. Okay, now throw a strike. Let's see what you can do here. Oh goodness! All right, so McDonald's going to play East Canton. That's going to be a tougher game than what people think.
East Canton's really good.
Yeah, they're solid.
They can definitely throw a monkey wrench in the whole party, but they have to hit against Bricallo.
Yes,
and no one's really been able to do that. I mean, even the teams that have beaten McDonald, they've scored 2 or 3 runs on them.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
It's going to be hard to put down solid, consistent offense on her. So.
All right, softball segment is done. When we come back, we will hear from Brian Tolnar, our guy from Mill Creek. He's busy.
I got a question because I don't know if you saw the really big controversy in the women's golf tournament that happened on Thursday, the day after we talked to Brian in the LSU regional, where they had rain the last couple of days, and we'll get into this with Brian, but the committee or the head of the committee that decides whether he came out and said the course is playable but not at a championship level, and he canceled that regional and they just moved on random teams.
Wow.
And people are not happy about
it. Well, no, and it shouldn't be happy about that.
The whole, the argument I saw a lot was what's the the golf is a sport that's supposed to be in the terrain, right? You're supposed to. So what's the difference between playable and then championship level.
Hey, all he had to say was course is playable. Okay, that's it. Game over. We're
Once
playing.
he said playable,
That's it. You've just dug yourself the hole. If you're going to sit back and say, well, we're not going to play. No, you just said it's playable.
Right. And then instead of taking questions, he just turned around and walked back into the clubhouse.
Well, of course, because that's
a cowardly move.
There's no other way to do that. You've dug yourself a ditch by saying the course was playable. We'll talk with Brian about that. I'd love to see Brian try one of those things. Course is playable, but not championship playable. Yeah. Brian Tolnar is coming up next. Stick around. We have the PGA Championship to talk about.
Hello, I'm Greg Burbick with G. Burbick Farms. For the last 100 years, my family has farmed in the Columbiana and Mahoning counties. I began raising cattle in 1996 with the goal of providing a better product for you and your family on the dinner table. Our grass-fed and grain-supplemented Black Angus beef are raised with no hormones, steroids, or antibiotics. We're known for our hometown-friendly service and incredible tasting products. We're locally owned and have customers across the tri-state area. Our products go from our farm to your family. Stop by our farm on New Buffalo Road or visit us on the web at gburbickfarms.com. Don't forget to like us on Facebook. G. Burbick Farms, it just tastes better.
This is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions.
WRS Insurance Solutions is a local independent agency that specializes in life, Medicare, long-term care, and disability products. Call us at 330-953-3722 or visit us at wrsinsuranceSolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
If you're looking for a quality pre-owned vehicle, why shop anywhere else but Tri-State Ford? Choose from our great selection of pre-owned vehicles. Plus, we've got you covered with our exclusive Tri-State Ford Advantage. It includes a 10-year, 200,000-mile warranty with your pre-owned vehicle and much more. Come see why so many customers from the Tri-State area buy their pre-owned vehicle at Tri-State Ford.
Customer focus, community driven. Tri-State Ford East Liverpool or visit tristateford.net.
Welcome back to a Wednesday edition of Running Point. Ron Potesta with you alongside Anthony Hartwig, and joining us as he does every Wednesday at this time on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline, a man that's busier than a one-legged man in a butt-kicking contest, the one and only Brian Tolnar from Mill Creek. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. How about you guys?
We're good. I'm decked out in some golf attire, celebrating the second major of the season, the redheaded stepchild of the majors, the PGA Golf Championship. And I'm curious, Brian, why is the PGA Championship the Godfather Part 3 of the four majors?
It's not that bad.
Well, to give you a little bit of history on it, it was, where PGA professionals really started a major championship. And if you recall back to the Masters and even the U.S. Open, the British Open, the oddity is of the PGA Tour, all four of their majors are ran by outside parties. None of them are run by the PGA Tour. The closest thing that they have to it is the Players' Championship, which comes up in March down at the TPC of Sawgrass. So that's the only one event that has, really official PGA Tour ties and having some sanctioning ability to the PGA Tour. And even the Players' Championship, the Players Association is responsible for running that, even though they are players on the PGA Tour. So, as you look into the PGA Championship, also used to be known as Glory's Last Shot, because it was your last shot of winning a major championship in the month of August. Traditionally was played in the northeast part of the country. A lot of events in New York and Pennsylvania and Ohio. And I think, as we see with the transition and what the weather's like this time of year in our region of the country, and the fact that the PGA of America is building a brand new golf facility in Frisco, Texas, my personal thought is after 2017, which is the time frame that they're going to host the PGA Championship in the Dallas, Fort Worth, Frisco portion of the country, that I think you'll see a lot of them being held at that location. They're building a 72-hole facility for the PGA of America. I think they'll have a rotation of those golf courses and kind of keep it down there, which is kind of sad because you're used to seeing PGA Championships in Ohio and Pennsylvania, at Oak Hill and Rochester, New York. But, weather-wise, it's not conducive. I mean, we're susceptible to catching some snow this time of year. But, for me being a PGA professional, there's amount of pride with it. But I'm not going to lie, the Masters is my all-time favorite major of the year. And then I would go, it's a toss-up between the U.S. Open because you're playing for your country, and the British Open, which is the foundation of the game of golf. That's where it all started at St. Andrews. That's where the history was. PGA Championship, when it started from the inception, going back to 1894, was basically a match play event, and it wasn't until 1958 that they changed the format and the type, for television to a stroke play event. So, I mean, there was a kind of a different, nice nuance to it, being match play, because it's something that you didn't see. But then again, you didn't get a lot of the big names making it to the Elite Eight, Final Four, and the finals at the end. So there's a lot of club professionals that won the PGA Championship, which I thought was unique because we have 20 club professionals like myself that have qualified to play in it this year and every year since, I want to say 68 or 70 when they came up to give the club professionals an opportunity. The only major of the three that does not have an amateur component to it as well. So, there's some different things, some things that I like and some things that I don't like. I'm not a big fan of it being in May. I thought that the Players' Championship in May was a better fit, and I think ending your year in August, I think, there's some star power to it. But, obviously with the President's Cup and the Ryder Cup and the FedEx Cup playoffs, they wanted one big thing every month from March all the way through the end of September. So you do have that with, once August gets here, it's FedEx Cup playoffs. And September is going to be your Ryder Cup on the evens or odd years, and then vice versa with the President's Cup. So there's some nuances with that as well. But, for an event that started in 1894 by a department store owner in New York City named Rodman Wanamaker, who the trophy is named after, they've certainly done a nice job of making it a very solid major, although changing the format in 1958 to a stroke play event, which made for TV ratings and made it a legitimate tournament. But I love seeing this event in August, and there's something about picking up that trophy. And I recall Jack Nicklaus winning the tournament. I want to say may have even been at Firestone. That the trophy was so hot from sitting there at the presentation table, he had to pick it up with 2 towels because it literally burnt his fingers and his hands trying to raise it up. So he's holding 2 towels on the corners of the Wanamaker trophy, holding it up to be able to present it for the cameras and stuff. So, I mean, and plus, I like having the event up here in the Northeast. I think with the transition to May, I think you're going to see less and less, if not any, of these PGAs being held in our region of the Northeast, part of the United States. So, they broke out, went to Seattle, and they've had some things at Sal Holly, and they've played at Valhalla in Kentucky. So they've branched out and have gone to the West Coast, but it's traditionally been an event that's been held up in the Northeast, and it's sad to be able to see that go as part of the transition from August to May from a weather standpoint.
So before we talk about what's going on this weekend with Mill Creek, I want to get your take on what happened at the LSU Regional and the Women's Golf Tournament. It was scheduled to start last Monday through Wednesday, just like the Columbus Regional that YSU was in. Got canceled on Monday because of weather, got canceled on Tuesday because of weather, and on Wednesday, the head came out of the clubhouse and said the course is playable, but then this is a quote, but not championship level playable. And I think that the way he worded that got everyone upset, and of course the fact that the players couldn't play also got everyone upset. What was your take on that? Is there a difference between playable and championship level playable? Should there be a difference? And how easy is it to have a contingency plan? Is the NCAA kind of handcuffed when there's weather like that, or should they have had another plan B? What's your whole take on the whole situation?
My real take on the whole situation is, number one, it's one of the biggest travesties in the NCAA history. And the reason that I say that is you have to have contingency plans in place. I mean, even for the HHEA event that we host here, it's a national event. If you recall, 2 years ago, we had some of the worst rains, and it left our south course under about 15 feet of water during the month of latter part of May and the entire month of June. We were closed for almost a full month here, but we did be able to get the tournament in that we had that year by moving it to the north and setting up the golf course and preparing that, for tournament play. So, I mean, you have to have a backup venue of some sort. You have to have a contingency plan. And look at it this way, too. As a player, if that's your senior year, you've worked your ass off to qualify for the regionals, and I apologize for using that word, but, I mean, you've worked your tail off the entire season, to get through that, to be able to make it there, to go to the NCAA in the finals, and to say that, we're going to let the top 3 seeds go. I mean, Youngstown State, playing in the Columbus Regional wouldn't have been in the top 3 seeds, but they worked their tails off to get there, and they have a legitimate shot of making it out of that qualifier. I don't care what you say of the 16 teams that are there. If you're taking 3 or 4 teams, depending upon the qualifier that you're at, you want to have a shot at getting one of those top 3 or top 4 spots based on the field size. So, I mean, to be able to go down there and tell a senior who's hustled for 4 straight years, you're pretty much going to be done, and we're going to take these teams who we deem to be ranked higher, and these are the top 3 or 4, seeds, I think is just atrocious. Because you've got individuals that can qualify that don't have the opportunity. You have, teams that could qualify and have a great week and finally break through and make it to an event like that. I mean, that's a make or break opportunity for a Youngstown State, for an Akron, for a Kent State, and the whole 9 yards. And to take that away from the kids, I think is just flat out awful. And to handle it the way that they did, to come out and then make that announcement and walk back in. I mean, have a press conference. I mean, you don't have to have the teams. You don't have to have the teams stand around like that. But I mean, it may not be at the championship level, but number one, all the 16 teams that are there are going to play the same conditions. And I would guarantee you every team would have voted and said whatever conditions we have to play under is fair for the 1 seed to the 16th seed. So to do that and to handcuff those kids that don't have an opportunity to come back and qualify, and you're just going to trash their senior year and say, oh, you're not going to do that, is severe. Look at a different venue. I mean, find another venue. You're there for several days. Have a backup plan. Like what we had here for the junior championship level. We were fortunate enough to have 2 courses, but we would have had some kind of other backup plan or another golf course to go to had we ran in the same situation previously or ahead. You have to have something. Or if it's, hey, I'm going to limit it to 36 holes as opposed to 72, or 18 holes as opposed to 54. You've got to have an outlet, and you've got to have a way for the competitors to compete and to play for those spots and not just get handed, here's your ticket to the national finals just because you're a big name and a highly ranked school. So I think, both of those were just bad ways to do it. And I think they're probably going to learn their lesson the hard way. But, I mean, you have to have all the stuff that's planned with these. And I could tell you this from, the outset. We were set on trying to get a Division II or Division III NCAA championship here. And they award 7 years at a time. So we had our stuff turned in at the end of last year, and they awarded stuff this spring. And, some of our area courses got it. Avalon got Division II or III. Erie, Pennsylvania got another event. I think they're Division II, and I think Avalon's Division III. But we were in that mix for that. So, I mean, the planning that goes into it 7 years in advance for the next 7 years is unbelievable not to have a contingency plan. For the hoops and the packets that the NCAA makes you go through. I mean, our packet was like 500 pages. I mean, it's demographics from hotels, dining, and hotel space, and conference room space at hotels. We were basically going to use every hotel on 224. We would have filled every restaurant with not only the competitors, their teams, their coaches, coaching staff, SIDs, the whole 9 yards, but you also have the component of you're bringing folks in, as attendees to watch the event, so to spectate. So, I mean, you have to have the accommodations for that as well, which we did, and we worked, closely with the tourism board in the Mahoning Valley here, and they did a wonderful job of assisting us to be able to get our name in the hopper, and the things that we've done to get get us at that point where we can be able to host at the high level that you need to with the upgrades. But I mean, the NCAA has to have a contingency plan, and to just say, oh, it's just a ladies event, we're not going to do that. I think it's a slap in the face to women, number one, and I think it's a slap in the face to all the seniors who work their entire 4 years at wherever they play collegiate golf at, to not have a venue and not have an opportunity to go to the next spot, of which you qualified to get there to begin with and made it to one of those 16 teams in your region. To not be able to take that next step, I think, is a true travesty.
Well, and the biggest embarrassment, other than canceling the tournament, he doubles down and says, well, the course is playable. That's it. Conversation's over now. You just admitted the course is playable, you jackass. Now get everyone on the course and play the damn tournament.
The worst part for me was that he didn't even face the people he just told that to. He turned around and walked back in the clubhouse.
That's just chicken crap.
Yeah, set up a media location, have that broadcasted. Don't do it in the venue and format that he did. I don't know if that was an NCAA official. I don't know if that was a club's director of golf and general manager, the whole 9 yards. But obviously, they're an association, and whoever they put out there, they just threw them to the wolves to begin with. But I mean, have that plan and say, you know what? It's not a championship level, but it's playable. We're going to play under these procedures, these rules, but we're going to give you a venue to play, and everybody's playing under the same conditions, the same constraints. And we're getting the tournament in, whether it's 1 round, 2 rounds, 3 or 4 rounds.
All right, so
that's where they dropped the ball.
Athletic director of Farley Dickerson, Brad Humboldt, is the one that made the remarks. He's a member of the NCAA Division I Women's Golf Committee and the NCAA rep in charge of regional. Of regional. So that's who made that announcement.
Oh boy!
So he's an athletic director too. So an athletic director made that call.
Yeah, that was he.
Like,
boy, did he step into a pile of manure.
What if your own athletes were in that region?
Yeah.
I mean, think of it this way: all of those competitors, number one, they're out walking. There's no cart damage. There's no golf carts that are going to tear up your golf course. You don't have to worry about that. I mean, you're out there playing. If it's lift, clean, in place because the conditions are too soft, that's fine. Everybody's playing lift, clean, in place. Whether you do that in the fairway, the rough, the whole 9 yards, everybody still has to post a score from tee to green, and they're going to play it under the same conditions. The bunkers are washed out. You play the casual water rule. I mean, there's a ton of different ways that you could formulate or move tees up or make the golf course. Having not seen it, and if it's playable, but it's not championship playable. Playable's playable to me. Either you're playing or you're closed, and you're going to be closed for a week. That's a different story. Find another backup venue for a round or two. But, as seniors, you're standing there, that's like getting throat punched. Saying, no, you're pretty much done, and if you weren't one of the top 4 ranked teams, then we don't want you. Is basically how I look at it. And it's just it's a shot at the players, and I don't think it's fair for a college student or a college athlete to be put in that position to throw away 4 years of what you've worked so hard to obtain that scholarship and to be able to make it to that championship level at a championship caliber. That's what I feel for those players.
How about how awkward it is to be one of the teams that advances from that? Because no one wants to advance like that, but you're also you got to be happy that you advanced. So it's one of those. It's got to be so bittersweet.
You literally got a better shot at putting everybody's name in a hat you pull for. I mean, literally. I mean, the odds would be a lot better. But I mean, I don't see what the thought process was to take the 4 highest ranked teams and then you go. I don't know how that's fair. I mean, you're letting somebody's ranking that if look at the college football rankings the first 5 weeks of the football season. It's just a crapshoot based on name recognition. I mean, you don't get anything till the last 3 or 4 weeks. And again, some of that is name recognition.
No, it's name recognition. Yeah.
Oh, big time.
It is.
I mean, it's not fair to Youngstown State. It's not fair to some of the smaller name schools that beat some of the big name schools to qualify to get there, to make one of those spots. I mean, I don't know how you can hold, the bigger divisions and the bigger team names and the highest ranked teams over the littler ones. I mean, look at the NCAA tournament. There's teams that have, 5 to 7 seniors on it that will outplay and have the heart and desire to knock off Duke, to knock off a Kentucky. The underdogs that have that opportunity, that are senior laden, and they're just going to fight till they can't fight anymore. And doing this 3 rounds, I mean, come on. I mean, give the kids an opportunity. Why take that away from them? Is my point.
Well, I guarantee you no one's going to make that stupid announcement this weekend when we go to South Carolina in the PGA Championship at the Ocean Course and here's where we go. Is it Kiowa? Kiowa Island? Kiowa Island, South Carolina. Yeah. It's close enough to the ocean where if Jason Kokrak happens to snap a shot well to the right, it could go into the ocean, and then we could have a Seinfeld episode.
You definitely could. Was it a Titleist? No, Kiowa Island, probably just a great venue for championship golf. That it's hosted the Ryder Cup, the World Cup, the PGA Championship a couple times, the PGA Championship. The PGA Professional Championship, which is what we qualified to make it to the PGA Championship, a few times. Another Pete Dye venue, which, we talk about venues across the board, and this is probably 6 or 7 in 2021 of the Pete Dye courses that we're playing. All the way back, 7,800, almost 7,900 yards is the longest golf course that the PGA Tour will play if they put them all the way back. And they do have that opportunity. If the conditions are nice, I wouldn't doubt that you would see the tees all the way back unless the conditions are absolutely perfect. Because you're on the ocean and because there's a lot of wind and a lot of mist and weather that comes off with the tides in the ocean, you're going to see the golf course play from some of the up tees because of that aspect. They do have the opportunity to lengthen it or shorten it, where and when they need to. But just a fun venue. Number 25 of the top 100 golf courses in the United States of America. Coming in at 25, it's a par 72. Course rating and slope are extremely high. The rating is 155, and last week they were at 149. This week we're at 155. And the course rating is a real telltale sign of 79.1. So if I'm a 10 handicap, and we'll use a course rating here, for example, and our course rating states 68. The average 10 handicap would shoot 78 on our golf course. The average 10 handicap down at Kiowa, playing from the championship tees with the rating of 155 and the slope of 79, would shoot 89. And a 10 handicap's a pretty decent golfer, and he would almost not break 90. That's just how treacherous this golf course is. And in 2010, it was named the toughest golf course in America by Golf Digest. It's primarily because of the winds, and if you drive it offline, you're in some severe waste areas. You're in some driving bunkers and fairway bunkers off the tee. The greens are heavily guarded, and a true Pete Dye design, you've got diabolical greens. It's like having 4 greens in one, and if you're on the wrong side, it's extremely tough to two-putt. It's extremely tough to lag a 30 to 50 footer when you're coming up the hill, down a slope, over a hill. And I think, this golf course, certainly exemplifies that in the championships that they've hosted. And there's been a lot of championships that were won and lost coming down the stretch of 16, 17, and 18. Literally, I think this week, as the players play, number one, they do have wide fairways, so there's a silver lining in that. So you have to have a solid and a creative short game because you're going to find yourself in some runoff areas and some high grass and some greenside bunkers that are extremely deep. So you have to be creative. You'll see players play to a certain point and the ball roll to another certain point, to not play at certain holes. And that's just being kind to how tough and how much teeth the golf course has given them, from start to finish. With the finish, I think, 17 and 18, you have a 223-yard par 3 with a lot of water. You have the ocean down 18 on the right-hand side at 505. It's a healthy par 4. You get the wind, you get the ocean current, and you get the breezes that come on and off, with the Atlantic Ocean as you're out there playing. And if they get any weather, this golf course could play near impossible. I think the damage has to be done on the par 5s, which is 2, 11, and 16. number 7, 2, 7, 11, and 16. You have to birdie 2 or 3 out of those every single round to be in contention this week because the par 3s are so severe and so tough. They're all over 200 yards. 14th is the longest at 238. So you not only have to hit a long iron into them, you get some wind kicking into them. It's almost near impossible. And it's funny. I listened to Tony Finau. They interviewed him on, I want to say Monday, and I guess on 14 they played from the back tee, and he hit 3-iron, and it was into the wind. He goes, it took all I had to get 3-iron there. So when's the last time you've seen a guy on the PGA Tour, and Tony's one of the longer ball strikers on the tour, hit a 3-iron or a driving iron into a par 3? There'll be hybrids. There'll be some woods taken out, some 5 woods, 7 woods, if players have those in their bag this week to maneuver shots out of the rough. So I think you're going to see some weird club selections from the PGA Tour players this week based on if I drive it in the heavy rough and I've got a 515 or 505-yard par 4, and I hit my drive reasonably well or I hit it offline, I still need to have some firepower to get it there, and I think it's going to take its toll on some of the players. So I think, as we're looking at, tournament score for the week, probably similar to what we saw when Roy won it in 2012 at like that 12 to 13 under number. I think it's probably a legitimate number, just how tough and how severe the golf course is going to play and how lengthy they're going to play it. Now, if the conditions are nice and it's sunny and it's 80 degrees like it is, looking out your window today, I think you're going to see a lot of, lengthy tees. They're going to play all the way back. They're going to have some tough locations. But I think if you get some wind brewing and it's, a little bit cooler, cloudier, I think the tees will be moved up a little bit. But I think if it stays nice like it's supposed to, you're going to see these guys playing at 7,800 yards, 77 plus 100 yards, which is a long way, even for PGA Tour standards. So, there's definitely a lot of length to maneuver when you're going off the tee. And I think Kiawah Island's certainly one of those facilities that can make you look really bad if you're hitting the ball offline. Not only do you have to bomb it off the tee, but you have to hit it relatively accurate, and your iron game better be on any time that you lock horns with a Pete Dye course. You have to hit the ball extremely well from fairway to green or rough to green, and you want to avoid all the areas that are going to penalize your score and your scoring, which is around the greens. Heavy, thick rough, deep pot bunkers, deep grass bunkers, deep sand bunkers, runoff areas where you're going to see players, maybe not only pitch, the high shots like Phil Mickelson hits, but you'll see them running stuff up with hybrids and low lofted irons. So it's going to have a different feel from a major perspective than what we're used to based on how tough Kiawah is, there's no doubt.
I have the winner of this match finishing at 11 under par because I think the course is tough enough where they're gonna be challenged for sure. Having said all of that, Jason Kokrak is in this tournament. He's a long hitter. Where do we have your top 5 and sleeper? Is Jason on a 2-week sabbatical? The last time he golfed was 3 weeks ago. Do you have him in the list of sleepers?
I do not have him on the list this week, but he is built well for playing Pete Dye courses. Obviously playing Copperhead down at Innisbrook, which he didn't play this year, which I was sort of surprised. And knowing that he grew up on Avalon Lakes, which is a Pete Dye golf course, and within some of the junior stuff that we had there, I think he's accustomed to knowing how to score on a Pete Dye extremely well. But he didn't make the top 5 this week or the 2 sleepers that I have, just because he hasn't played the past 2 weeks. And I think, there's going to be some growing pains out of the gate on Thursday just because he hasn't played tournament or competitive golf in 2 weeks. Now, I hope he proves me wrong because his game is certainly suited for what he's going to see this week down at Kiawah, but he's not in my rankings this week.
All right, let's hear your rankings.
Sleepers, and I know this guy is the odds-on favorite, but he's in my sleeper bunch, just because he's struggled a little bit. Although he was the winner at the Valspar, Rory McIlroy, I've got him in there. He was the winner at Kiawah in 2012, where he shot 13 under, won the tournament, and put on a driving clinic, and he won the tournament by 8 shots. So, seeing that he's in the field and knowing what he did down at the Valspar at the Copperhead course, they ranked the top 10 drives at the Valspar, and he had all top 10s. Not only were they long, but he was averaging between 330 and his longest was 384. So if he hits it that long and that straight, and he's as accurate as he was in Florida, I think he'll be in the conversation this week. And I think he, goes off of past history of how he's played, and I think he translates that into the PGA Championship this week. But he's in my sleeper picks this week. Second sleeper is Justin Rose. He's got some Ryder Cup experience there at Kiowa. It's a golf course and a venue that'll play like a British Open with the wind. You got to keep it low to the ground. You got to be a good putter. You got to putt some of the collection areas, and I think that's one thing and one area that Justin does well. His ability to be able to score and be creative in the short game, and I've got him as our sleeper number 2 for the week. And starting off our top 5, coming in at number 5, length, accuracy, close to a home game. He's a streaky putter, makes a lot of birdies. Patrick Reed is our number 5 pick this week. Coming in at number 4, Jon Rahm. I think he's ready. He's got all the variables that you need to win a major championship. He's got the length off the tee. He can chip and putt it well. He's streaky with the putter. He's got some close calls with Augusta, and I think that translates into a good finish for him this week. So Jon Rahm, number 4. Number 3 is our 2017 winner, not necessarily at Kiowa, but plays PGA Championships well, is Justin Thomas. I think his ability to strike the ball from fairway to green and hit a lot of greens, give himself a lot of birdie opportunities, is going to be one of the reasons why we have him in the top 5 this week, although I think the FBI is still looking for his putting game, and needs to put an APB on that because he's been lost with the putter this week, just not making the putts that Justin Thomas normally makes, but he's had some lessons with his dad. Mike is a PGA professional who I believe has been on the bag for the practice rounds. Not sure if he's going to be on the bag for the tournament this week, but I think if he putts like his old self, and I think there's a good venue to do it, Justin Thomas will have a good week coming in at number 3. Number 2, 2-time runner-up at this event, and last year's runner-up as well, Dustin Johnson has a great career at Kiowa. He went to college at Coastal Carolina, and we've been fortunate enough to have some interns while he was in college back when I was up in New York that played on the golf team, and they say he plays that golf course better than anybody in the history of Coastal Carolina history when it comes to playing golf on the golf team. His ability to bomb it off the tee, to flight it low when he needs to, I think is going to be the key. And I just think with the number of rounds he's had there and to have 4 years to be able to play there collegiately and practice there day in and day out, certainly makes it a great venue for him. He's from the Myrtle Beach area, so I think he's got a lot to draw on past performance, past invitational wins there as he was an NCAA player at Coastal Carolina. So number 2 is Dustin Johnson this week. And probably a little bit longer shot, on my roster compared to, where the odds are. Daniel Berger, number 1 this week, bit of a long shot at 33-1. He flights the ball extremely well if they get some windy conditions. It's one of the reasons why I have him up there, and I think you're going to see some wind. I think you're going to see some adverse conditions this week. I think if he putts it well, he putts coastal courses extremely well. He putts Bermuda greens well. So he's really good when he goes to Hawaii. He's really good on the West Coast. He's really good on the East Coast when they go to Florida, and I think that's going to translate well. Greens tend to be a little bit more bumpier, this time of year when you've got some cool nights and some warm days and growing. So if you get that afternoon tee time, they become a little bit more bumpier. You've got salt water coming in off the ocean. They're not as pristine as you would have at Firestone or Muirfield, where you have some salt water that they got to spray chemicals for and maintain. And I think, his past history putting on Bermuda, I think, is exceptional. And I think, being able to flight the ball low on days that are windy or when conditions prevail where you want to have those low running shots up into some of the greens, I think, really make Daniel Berger a contender this week, and he's who we have. And I think you're going to get a name like Colin Morikawa that won last year, just really on the scene. Daniel's won a couple times. He's played considerably well this year, and I think he has an opportunity to win his first major down at Keel Island.
The power of one Brian Tolnar. As you said, Daniel Berger was 33-1. He is now 28-1.
My word. They heard you and they dropped the odds. Well,
so the odds have just went up to 28. They're down to 28-1. So, yes, Daniel Berger is 28-1 and falling or rising, depending on how you look at it. Partner, who do you got in this?
I got Bryson DeChambeau in this one. I think he needs to wake up a little bit. Hasn't been playing his best golf, and he tends to show up in big situations. So I'm going to go with Bryson.
Now,
I'll tell you what, he's got the variables from the tee to green because he hits it about as long as anybody out there. He's just been having a struggle hitting greens from fairway in. So I think if he dials those back in, he putts it well as everybody. So I think he's got a legitimate shot, but he's got to hit some greens this week.
This is an interesting thing. I'm looking at the odds for everyone. Rory McIlroy is the favorite. He's 12-1. Yep. Justin Thomas and Jon Rahm are 14-1. Jordan Spieth is 14-1. Bryson DeChambeau is 16-1. My guy for the weekend is 20-1. I think it's Viktor Hovland's time to win a major.
Ooh.
And I am going all in on Viktor Hovland to win this tournament.
I like it. You're going with the Morikawa pick from last year. So that would be a similar scenario. Hovland played extremely well at Harding Park last year when they were in San Francisco, and I think Viktor Hovland is the same caliber of player, and I think he could be one of those guys. That's where I think it's not going to be a big-name guy. That's why I went with Daniel Berger this week, just because I think we're due. I think we're due to go back-to-back with these, and Viktor Hovland is solid. Having played with Morikawa in college, and certainly he's going to go off of that. And he's won. I think he could do some damage and get an early victory in a major early in his career.
All right, for those wondering, Jason Kokrak is 100-1. A $100 bet on Jason Kokrak would give you $10,000.
I think that's a great bet. I like him, but I wish he had played the 2 weeks leading up to it. I know the guys' schedule, they play differently. Some guys take the week off before. Some guys like to play the week before, and it varies with everybody. But having 2 weeks off is, probably why his odds are where they're at. But if I'm a betting man, that's a nice odd spread. There's no doubt about it because he's got the length off the tee. If he hits his irons like he normally does, he's going to hit a lot of greens this week, and then it's just going to come down to how he's putting. And I think the lack of playing the last 2 weeks is, not putting on tour condition greens and not chipping on tour condition greens, and it has a little bit of a hitch in the giddy up. But I'd love to see him win his first major. I think it'd be great for Mahoney Valley. I think it'd be great for him.
John Daly, by the way, a $100 bet would pocket you $100,000 if John Daly were to win this thing.
No shot. None whatsoever. I think you take everybody from like 250 to 1, they got no shot. You look at Graham McDowell's at 250 to 1, has not enough firepower, not enough length to get him anywhere on there. Obviously the 20 PGA professionals in there, their odds are going to be in that number as well, that or if not higher, just based on where they're at. Although there is one club pro that used to play on the PGA Tour, his name's Omar Urusty, who's played probably, I want to say 14 years on the PGA Tour, is now a club pro in the New York City metropolitan area. All I heard is he plays golf all day, every day, so I don't know what kind of job he has. It's not the job that I have, I can tell you that. I'm lucky to play once every 2 weeks, but Omar plays well. He won the professional championship for the PGA guys. He was the number 1 seed, I think, the last 2 years going in. If anybody can hang and anybody can make the cut, he probably has the best odds of the club professional.
All right, so you're a club professional, and obviously you run Mill Creek. What is the process for a club professional to get into the U.S. Open or the PGA Championship?
Well, both of those are a little bit different. The U.S. Open, you go through the USGA qualifying. They just had one at Beach Bond. I want to say 2 Mondays ago, the weather was horrific for it, and I think 4 people qualified out of it. Maybe 7, 4 or 7. I can't remember what the number was. So you go through the local qualifying, which was for the Northern Ohio PGA section and some amateurs and some of the collegiate players that played that. And Kent also competed in that. So you make it out of that. You're one of the 5 to 7 or whatever the number is. You go on to what they call regional or sectional qualifying. So they'll go into another site where all these local qualifiers go, and then they'll pick the next X amount of people. And if you make it from that group, I mean, the numbers start getting, the fields are obviously big, but the numbers of qualifiers get small. Like I said, the first one was either 4 or 7 spots here locally, and I think the next step is down in Columbus. They usually run that the week, I want to say the Monday before or the Monday after Jack Nicklaus's tournament at Muirfield, the Memorial. So you have some tour players that are competing in there that are not qualified, so they'll go through and they'll try to qualify. So, I mean, as you progressively get down there, it's extremely hard because the competition gets better, and you've got tour professionals that are qualifying. So the next level would take maybe 7 or 8 spots, and those spots get the exemption into the PGA Championship. So you've got to qualify locally, and then they go to I don't know if it's sectional qualifying. It used to be called sectional qualifying, but I think it's regional qualifying now that you get one of those spots. And depending on how many locals qualify, depends on the number of spots. I know a lot of players think the odds are better going to, like, say, Scioto. I think their odds are bigger and better because they have a lot of tour players trying to qualify. So the field is a little bit bigger this region. So the guys that qualified in Cleveland a couple weeks ago will go down to Scioto and try to qualify, or as opposed to Florida that may have 60 in the field, but they're qualifying for 1 or 2 spots. So depending upon which pocket, which region of the country you are, if you look at like Montana and Idaho, those areas will qualify for 1 or 2 spots just because there's not a lot of local qualifying. But, it's New York, Pennsylvania, Ohio. We draw a lot of players qualifying for the U.S. Open. There's probably, 5,000 people that try to qualify for, less than 50 or 60 spots. So, I mean, you're playing your tail off to get there. If you get the good fortune of qualifying, you make it to the U.S. Open as one of those 5, 6, 7 spots, depending upon where you're going. PGA Championship's a little bit different. Each of the 41 sections in the PGA of America, which ours is the Northern Ohio PGA section, which I'm a member of, has a tournament qualifying. Basically, our PGA Professionals Championship is what it's called. It's one of our 4 majors at the section level. And based on the field size, we get X amount of spots. Similar to the what they do with the U.S. Open, but you go through different steps. So if I'm one of I think our number's been about 3 or 4. So there's 469 or 479 pros in the Northern Ohio PGA. You'll qualify to play for this tournament. Say the field's 144 players. You're playing for 4 spots. Of those 4 spots, they go right into this Professional Golf Championship, which is held at where our business hub is in Port St. Lucie, Florida, where the education center is, where we have 72 holes until they move to Frisco, which I'm sure they'll move that there too. Basically, you go down there, and then they take the top 20 out of however many pros from each of these 41 sections. So 41 sections, based on size, like the metropolitan section in New York is 1,500 pros as opposed to the close to 500 that we have here in Northern Ohio. So each one of these geographic sections sends X amount of players, and then they play for the top 20 spots. Ties, you go out and play. You have a playoff for it, and then you're an alternate. So if someone drops out, the tie would move up, or the playoff person that didn't fare so well gets an opportunity to move up if somebody, falls out of that. So probably the easier of the two to qualify for a major championship is going through the PGA side because there's 20 spots and they're guaranteed they're going to be club professionals. Where U.S. Open, there's club professionals, there's amateurs, there's top collegiate players, there's PGA Tour professionals all trying to get in the field. So it's the harder of the two.
Okay.
Without question.
So I get a deal for you, Brian. I'm envisioning this. I want everyone to think about this.
Nothing good ever comes out.
No.
Ron says I've got a deal for you.
I think you're going to like this. I think you're going to like this, Anthony. So we get you to qualify or try to qualify for the PGA or next year's U.S. Open, and we get a Mill Creek YSN bag. And just call me Bagger Vance. I'm gonna be your guy. I'm gonna be your guy, and we'll rock the world together. And you win the tournament, and we'll split the. Well, you'll get 80% or 85%. You'll flip me 15%, and we'll both be insanely rich. There you go.
I don't know if you want Ron
like
carrying your bags throughout 4 rounds of golf.
Okay, well, 10% is fine. I mean, you win $2 million. You're flipping me $200,000. I'm good with that. I mean, I think a YSN Mill Creek bag would look great, and then we have the apparel. And I'll walk the course a day or two before the event, and be top notch and tell you exactly how to put a ball into the hole.
So not only is he in for 15%, now he's in for apparel. We'll get him a caddy endorsement. He'll be good to go.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'll look over at Mickelson's caddy and go, "Hey, you want to go a couple of rounds? I'm feeling feisty right now."
Ron would do anything if it gets him apparel.
Oh, absolutely.
Hey, I got some good apparel going on right here. I mean, it's I got my in honor of the PGA a major. I'm decked out in golf apparel here.
I tell you what. I do it, but you got to practice and play every day. And with a 7-year-old, that's what's killing me.
Well, that and running a golf course which is insanely busy right now because the weather is so great. I mean, let's be honest. The only time that you could probably play golf without anybody around is 4 o'clock in the morning.
Pretty much right now. It's been off the charts.
Yeah, and now before we have your tip of the week, which we are really excited about, let's have a preview of what this weekend holds for the Mill Creek Parks. I know it's Family Fun Night on the weekends, and it's probably the best weather we've had for a Family Fun Night so far this spring.
Yep.
What should people expect from that night? Why should people come out and bring their family out to the golf course on Friday and Saturday if they choose to? And we'll talk about the Family Fun Nights.
Well, Friday and Saturdays, we start that in the month of April, and obviously weather's been iffy in the month of May, but this past weekend was nice, and this weekend looking forward is exceptional. For a mere $25, you can bring out a family of 4 after 5:30, call and make a tee time, and you can go out and play as many holes as you want on Friday and on Saturday evening. So it's a great opportunity if you have aspirations of playing the game or are new to the game. You've got an opportunity to go out and play. We also have kids' tees on both the north and the south. We have a stamping on the cart path that tells you where the kids' tees are because they're embedded. The golf course plays a little bit shorter for them. We want to make it fun for the kids. We want the kids to be able to putt for a birdie or a par or bogey. And having them play all the way back from where the whites and the blue tee markers are isn't conducive, and it makes the game not so fun. So we want you to be able to compete with your parents a little bit. So we've got teams that we put in, I want to say my second year here. And we're really putting an emphasis on families, giving them a venue and an opportunity to be able to come out and play at a rate that's extremely inexpensive. If 2 adults were to come out and play in that time frame in just 9 holes, you're looking at $36. And that doesn't include the kids, which would be another $8 times 2. And then if you're riding in a car, another $6 times 2. So you're looking at 14, 14, and 18, and 18. We do all of that for $25 on Friday and Saturday evening. So it gives them opportunity. Plus, it gets them involved in the game of golf. So you don't have to be an avid golfer. You don't have to be a competitive golfer. We want you to be able to come out, enjoy the park setting that we have here at Mill Creek, giving you a different opportunity to look at the park system, through the lens of golf. So I think, having those and having some of the clinics will get, families involved. Not only gives them a taste of golf, we have the par 3 as well that's open. And starting Memorial Day weekend, we'll open that at night till 11 o'clock at night on Fridays and Saturday evenings. So that's a fun time to be able to play golf. Not too many people have the opportunity to play golf at night. We do at Mill Creek with our lighted par 3 course. So it's a fun, different spin on the game of golf. We're trying to make the game of golf more accessible, more open to everybody and anybody that wants to come in. We're giving you a venue. We're giving you keys. We're giving you par 3. We're giving you driving range. We're giving you clinics to be able to drive that vehicle. So I think, with that, I think we're looking at, a great springboard to bring people to the game. Last year, one of the downsides with the pandemic is you were limited on what you could do, but the good side was it brought the game of golf back into the fray as a great, safe outdoor venue to play and to get outside. And I think that's extremely important. Anytime you have the opportunity to exercise, have fun, and be outside in 80-degree weather, if you look out the window today, it's bright and sunny. It's perfect. I think that's the key. This weekend at Mill Creek on Saturday, we have a State of Ohio qualifier for the Noda Begay III, which was a college teammate of Tiger Woods. For the State of Ohio, we have 36 golfers competing to get in the East Coast Regional, which we're hosting in August on Saturday. So they'll have some tee times in the afternoon, but it'll be book a tee time as usual. And then on Sunday, we have the U.S. Kids Tour out of Cleveland, who's been with us for the last 3 or 4 years, hosting an event. They have 165 kids. So it's great to see that number of kids, considering 4 years ago when we started with them, they maxed out tournaments at 60 to 70 kids. So not only do they have 165 that are going to be playing the golf course on Sunday here at Mill Creek on one of them, the other one's open for tee times and open play, but they also have a 40-person waiting list. So it's great to see that many kids interested in playing the game and competing in the game of golf as well. And the winners of that, the top qualifiers of that, and all the U.S. kids through the month of June will come back and play in the U.S. Kids Tournament of Champions, which is held here for the second year in a row on October 3rd at Mill Creek. It'll be on the South Course. So we'll bring in 144 of the top qualified players. They'll do overnights down here. They'll stay in the community, much like they will with the Noda Begay qualifiers, because we've got them in from all over the state of Ohio. And then we'll have them back for the regional qualifier on August 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. So we'll be filling hotels up that week, and then the week of the AJGA during the month of June. So Mill Creek is probably one of the best suited golf courses in the area for junior golf and family golf, and we've really tried to pattern our programming selection and how we set up and maintain the golf course by the addition of the kids' tees and making it user-friendly for beginners, intermediate, and competitive players. So we've really focused on those to bring people into the game. And if last year is anything like what this year has the potential of being, and we've already seen it during the months of April and May, in March and April, there's so many people coming back to the game of golf, and it's nice to see, and we want to keep them acclimated to the game. We want to retain them as customers, moving forward with the nice improvements in the bunker additions, the cart pass, the greens drainage, and just met with planning today about the brand new on-course rain shelters and restroom facilities, like very nice restroom facilities, not the outhouses that you're accustomed to seeing here. The things that have a high price tag to it, like, anything that we bring in profit-wise, we're reinvesting back into the property, no matter if it's upgrades to the field house or upgrades to the golf course or equipment to make the golf course better. We're 100% compassionate about doing and making sure that happens until we get to the level where we feel that we need to be to make the people of the Mahoning Valley proud of what they have here. This is truly the gem of Mahoning Valley, being the park system, and we want to make sure that the golf conditions and the facilities are at that level. And we're almost to the point where we're getting there, and now we're doing the little touches to really elevate it. The things that I wanted to do, but we had to get so much stuff up to the bar to begin with to get to the even level. Now we're starting to do some of the stuff that I want to do, the upstairs stuff with the indoor simulators. So we have 12 months of golf as opposed to 7 or 8. I keep my restaurant, my building open 12 months. But right now the building's not heated with the exception of the pro shop and the restaurant facility. So there's some great strides for their permanent golf outing structures as opposed to tents. Adding bocce courts to keep people hanging around and having a good time. Finishing our short game area. Putting in a fitting center down at the driving range. Putting these storm shelters and safety procedures and safety buildings out on the golf course and new restroom facilities. I tell everybody, and I speak at our ladies' banquet every single year, And the restroom facilities obviously are a priority, but they're extremely expensive of doing it the right way. So we want to put something that's got, 25 years plus of longevity to it, as opposed to just putting a porta john out there and saying, hey, calling it a day. It definitely would be cheaper, but we want to do things the right way. But, every year, our ladies are like, hey, when are we going to upgrade the facilities? And I'll be quite honest with you, they're not at the level that I'd like to see them right now, but what we've got coming is mightily impressive, and it's a restroom facility and a shelter and starter huts and all of those little things, redoing the parking lot. With the play that we've had the past year, the parking lot is not big enough, so I need 44 more spots. Putting in a covered cart barn so we don't have to keep the carts out all winter long. Just the little steps that it'll take us time to get there, but it was in our 10-year plan, and we're 5 years through it, so we're halfway there. So now it's starting to get to the cool projects for on the back end of this 10-year plan the last 5 years. So it's starting to get exciting, but the focus is always going to be taking care of the people of the Mahoning Valley. They take care of us financially, with the tax. We want to make sure we're spending their money wisely, number one, and number two, we're giving them a facility that they can be proud of, and they're not going to be embarrassed of bringing friends or family that come visit here from a condition standpoint. Having golf carts that are beat up, adding a new pool cart fleet, new range balls, the little things that we do every other year, certainly give you that perception when you pull in the parking lot and you see Donald Ross banners. I didn't know this golf course was a Donald Ross course my entire junior career because they didn't have anything posted. So the moment you pull in, there's some legitimacy to our facility. Being a municipal facility, I think we're at the higher end of what our expectation level is. So, having those families support us, we want to make sure that we're supporting their needs for being good users of their money. And, some of the fundraising that we're going to do for some of these other projects are going to be as important, but we want to make the folks in Mahoning Valley proud, and we want to get them involved. We want them to take advantage of the great asset that they have here with coming out and hitting balls in the range, or taking up, family golf nights at $25 to go out and play. Having an opportunity to play the par 3 or take care of any of the recreational opportunities that we have, or clinics or camps that we offer, not only with golf, but with basketball and hockey and softball and volleyball and tennis. So we're on the cusp of going where we want to go. The vision's there. The leadership is behind the vision, which is awesome. And it's neat for me to be able to come to a facility where you can have and place your thumbprint on certain things, as opposed to just turning that key and you're running the golf operation. That's the fun part, and that's where we're going to be 15 years down the road. But it's nice to have some input on what projects you do, where I think we're deficient, and how you can improve upon that. That's what makes the days fun for me.
Continuing to raise the bar over at Mill Creek, and that's what we love. Brian, always a pleasure, sir. We will catch up next week.
You got it. Sounds good.
Well, we'll get the tip of the week next week. Yeah, Brian, always a pleasure, sir. Brian Tolnar from Mill Creek. We got to scoot into the third hour because we have Chris Tuno, Valley native, who is a media relations guy with the St. Louis Cardinals, and the Pirates are in St. Louis. We wanted to talk with Chris about what's going on over in St. Louis with the Cardinals and what's going on in his life. And friend of the show, always love talking with Chris, and we'll get into some baseball.
Well, in that case,
yeah, and we get to talk some baseball as well, and that's a good segue to go right into baseball. So,
and then we can go from that to our local baseball.
Yeah, exactly. Our local baseball right after hearing from Canfield High School grad Chris Tuno,
who is... if he's at all kept up with how good Canfield
that's one of the reasons why we got him on. Canfield grad Chris Tuno, who has made it into the major leagues in the media relations department with the St. Louis Cardinals. He is coming up next. Stick around. More to come on this Wednesday edition, my bad. Wednesday edition of Running Point on YSNLive.com.
Hi everyone, this is DJ Yoakley with Your Sports Network. We appreciate your support of YSN and welcome you to the YSN family. Our broadcast streams are brought to you live at no cost to you by sponsors that are local to this community. Without the vision and generosity of our sponsors and partners, we would not be able to bring this game to you today. So please support the great businesses and leaders that are making this game possible. And if you're a business in need of great advertising and sponsorship opportunities, feel free to head over to our site for more information on the right fit for you. We are local, we are loyal, and we are live. We are YSN.
News doesn't stop after the sun goes down. Sometimes you just have to hustle to get it. At 21 News, no matter how far it is, no matter what it takes to get there, we're working to bring you the best stories and the freshest content at 11 p.m. with the context and clarity that makes it worth staying up for, no matter what time it is. 21 News at 11 with me, Erin Simonek, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 11, news that's worth your time.
WRS Wealth Advisors is the area's premier wealth and retirement specialist. With our combined 70 years experience and comprehensive wealth strategy, we assist our clients attain their goals. Call 330-965-0370 to learn more about our individual and corporate financial planning services, or visit wrswealthadvisors.com. Good luck, athletes!
Your first and last stop with your tax return should be with me, Tracy Bryden at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. No other dealer sells more cars, finances more, and gets you more for your refund than Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
Welcome back to a Wednesday edition of Running Point, presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. Ron Potesta with you alongside Anthony Hardwig, and joining us, I should say, on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. Friend of the show, he is in the St. Louis Cardinals a major league organization as a guy who is the designated contact for media credentials and also does a bang-up job with the game notes. He is Canfield, Ohio native Chris Tuno. Chris, how are you?
Doing all right, Ron. Game notes, huh?
Yeah, game notes.
What did you think of that?
Gotta love it. I love doing that stuff. When I was in the minors, I loved putting the game notes together because you'd have a template, and all you had to do was just fill in the spots, and then when a pitcher was pitching, take the starting pitcher from the previous night out, put the other guy's stuff in. It was kind of cool.
Yeah, yours might have been pretty intense. I was told to do one page in the minor leagues because nobody reads them anyways.
Yeah, mine was always 7 or 8 pages, and everyone's like looking at me like, "What the hell are you doing?" I'm like, "Hey, got to be thorough about these things."
You were sharing a radio booth with Vin Scully. You had to be.
Exactly. It's I'd get the side glance if I didn't do that. Pittsburgh is in town, and anytime the Pirates are in town, growing up in northeastern Ohio, growing up so close to the Pirates, how special is that when the Pirates come into town, or when St. Louis comes to Pittsburgh? Because you've made that trip numerous times.
Yes, it actually got to the point this year where the traveling secretary had already put me down for the road trip, and when he found out I wasn't going, he just gave me this stare like, not. I was like, sorry, I got other plans that weekend.
There you go.
But honestly, I've always enjoyed it because I did grow up a Pirates fan, and that was kind of hard. It was good when you were 10, 11, 12 years old, and they were having all those good teams and stuff, and Francisco Cabrera broke my heart, and then the Indians got really good, and it was really hard to watch the Indians be so good for so long and pack the Jake, but it was an experience I'll never forget, and now we get to this point, and you kind of root for who signs your check, and I've been with the Cardinals for a long time, and it's interesting because some of my best friends in the game are on our division rival teams. Pirates are no exception. Jim Trudenich and I are really close. Dan Hart and Terry Rogers, who runs their social, he and I used to share an office in St. Louis. So,
yeah, it's a great fraternity, and obviously when you get into the majors, it's a lot of hard work. But once you get into the major leagues, my goodness, that's the creme de la creme, and you're doing something right if you get to that point.
You gotta feel that way, and sometimes when I start to take it for granted a little bit, I'll go back and look at some things I did in minor leagues and what it took to get up there, because you can never forget where you came from. And I always like going home and reading the local box scores, even though I have no idea who the local kids are in the area. But coming back to the Youngstown area during high school football, basketball season, baseball. It's always a pleasure to see the teams that are doing good in the schools and stuff. There's still an interest there because that's what built you into where you are.
I'm talking about your alma mater. Do you have any idea how good your alma mater's baseball team looks this year? Have you seen anything about Canfield and the baseball team?
I have not. Is Matt Koenig still the manager?
Well, no, Gary Niddle is their head coach right now, but they're undefeated right now as well, and they look like one of the best teams, if not the best team in the areas throughout all the divisions.
It's May 18th or May 19th, so if they are undefeated and the high school season started when it usually does, that is pretty darn good.
Yeah, we're going to be doing sectional title games. I think that they're going to be doing a sectional title game tonight, if I'm not mistaken. Right, they're undefeated. They took a bye in the sectional first round, so they're an undefeated team going into a sectional title game. They've been nothing short of spectacular all year long, and we're trying really hard not to put any kind of a jinx at all on this team, but they have a really good shot at going a long way in this tournament.
Well, that's good. I'd love to see another state title. I know when Koenig won the first one, it was pretty special, and every once in a while I'll run into him back at Inner Circle and in Canfield, and we'll talk about the old days and talk about his new team and whatever's going on or whoever is the coach now. So, yeah, that's pretty special. It's hard. They talk about the major leagues, but we got 30 teams and we're all professionals. And then you have the college game, and it's really wide and spread out. But you know who the top conferences are. You get a Coastal Carolina here, but I mean, high school, you don't get to recruit your players. You get the hand you're dealt. And for you to go undefeated and win states, I mean, that's really special.
Yeah, no question. Chris Tuno, our guest, he is in the media relations department with the St. Louis Cardinals. And, every time I have you on, I talk about how great of a baseball city St. Louis is. It's, a lot of people around here will be real happy with putting 25,000 people in a normal atmosphere, 25,000 people a night, and be real happy about that. 25,000 for a home game at Busch Stadium would be considered an embarrassment in normal conditions. St. Louis is just such a great baseball city, and the whole area, the whole region, just absolutely loves Cardinals baseball.
It is, and the biggest thing I notice about this, Ron, is when we go on our winter caravans and we go around Arkansas, Kentucky, Tennessee, parts of Illinois, and all around Missouri, and to see these fans, it's the only time they ever get to see Cardinals up close is when we come out there. And it's really something to behold, to see how much they love the Cardinals. And the greatest thing is they'll sit there and they want to tell you a story of where they were, and it's really, you can see how much at that point the players get to see. These aren't just fans that come to the game. These are fans that are listening to the radio games. These are fans that are coming to these events just because they want to show their support. And it's wide because at one point, St. Louis was the furthest west and the furthest south team until the West Coast teams and the Braves came along.
Yeah, no question. And they've cemented themselves year after year after year as one of the best, if not the best, baseball city in all of Major League Baseball. And you have to have characters on the airwaves. And, well, you've got a pretty interesting character in Mike Shannon, who is starting to slow down a little bit with the Cardinals. And then you've got the best of all straight men, and for my money, one of the best radio broadcasters for the game of baseball, in John Rooney.
And that is a great way to describe it. He is phenomenal. John, he has to, he obviously works with Mike, which is, you're working with a legend in St. Louis. But, I mean, John does both things. He'll do his innings, but then he'll come back and he'll help Mike out with some of those. And then he goes off and he'll work with Ricky Horton for a couple innings. And he still does jobs on the side, for voiceovers. I think he still does Missouri Valley basketball as well. And he's a pleasure to work with. I always enjoy getting calls from him. I try to get him as many stats and nuggets of information during the game And I really miss traveling with them because we were always good for at least one steak dinner on every road trip, and it was always entertaining because him and Shannon have just stories. And the other thing is their engineer, Jim Jackson. People always forget about this guy. He's been with them forever, and he's the one who records all these stories on the air, and he hears all these stories. So he in himself is a legendary storyteller.
Yeah, let's talk about the no-hitters we've seen already in baseball. There's been a lot of them. We had one last night from the Tigers late in the night. It went past midnight on the East Coast. We've seen, I mean, we're almost 2 months into the season. We've seen a ridiculous amount of no-hitters already. What do you think is attributing to so much of the pitcher's success this year in the league?
You know, I really can't say from a baseball operations standpoint because I'm probably not qualified to say it. And if this interview gets out, Mo hears me saying it, he'll probably like, why are you giving an opinion on this? But what I can tell you is, yes, I did stay up last night and watch Spencer Turnbull. That was incredible, especially the amount of time the Tigers broadcasters said no-hitter, so obviously they don't care about jinxes. But one of the things that was brought up yesterday during our pregame press conference with Mike Schilt is he said that the amount of spin rate that is going around baseball right now is off the charts. Like, I mean, I remember seeing it first when it came out and thinking, okay, this guy's got really good spin rate. He's a reliever, a closer. He throws really hard. You know, he gets strikeouts. But the other day when the Adam Wainwright was pitching, and I just pulled up my StatCast, and he was getting 2,900 revolutions per minute on some of the pitches, and he is 39 and a half years old. And I mean, I don't know. I couldn't tell you if it's the balls. I couldn't tell you if it's the pitchers. I don't know if it's driveline teaching guys, but I mean, not everybody's going there. Something's going on. I mean, you're seeing balls get away from pitchers now here and there. You see guys are getting hit by pitch. We had Cabrera hit 2 guys in one game that one time, and we couldn't take him out because there's 3 batter rule. And, I mean, Cabrera throws really hard and really high in the velocity numbers. And, I mean, he's got, incredible stuff for a young kid. So, I mean, it's really intriguing. I mean, but I think I saw something the other day that the Pirates had Brian Reynolds was 5th in the league in batting at .299, and I thought, that seems a tad low, but who knows? That could be attributing to it, too, that the batting numbers aren't there either.
No, it's the pitching is far better than the hitting right now for whatever reason. Chris, before we let you go, I know you're extremely busy. You come from Canfield, and Canfield obviously a great baseball school. You worked in the B League doing some statistics. You really did some stuff during school and during high school that got you pretty much prepared for what you wanted to do in your professional life. As a guy that's working in the major leagues, what would you give advice-wise to anyone who is looking to go into media relations and go into that route into Major League Baseball? What kind of advice would you give that person?
Mostly you got to stay around the game. You got to be willing to do whatever you can. I mean, I started out, I played as long as I could, and when I couldn't, I tried to put myself around the best talent possible to be around that. And whether it was keeping the book for the Astro Falcons for a couple summers, I mean, there are guys that I could have been playing with, but maybe not on the Astros, but another big, Class B team. And I just wanted to be around the top talent in any way possible. And when I picked my school for college, I picked a school that was in the top 25 in Stetson at the time. And I did it as long as I could, and then I got involved in the minor leagues because it was baseball operations. I interned a year for the Yankees, one spring training, and then one with the Cardinals, and that kind of led, and I stayed around. I did whatever I could, whether it was press box work, anything for the coaches, that kind of stuff. The biggest thing for high school kids, if they want to start, go to your college sports information department and ask to help out any way you can. And you might just be running copies, you might be running stats, you might just be helping, pick up the food for the game. But eventually they will see you're helpful and you're willing to learn, and you'll do that kind of stuff. And if you meet the right mentors and you learn from the right people and then form your own style of whatever in the area you love and the sport you love, you've got a pretty good chance at hanging on this game. And all advice is good advice, even if it's bad advice, because you know to stay away from some of that too. And make as many contacts as you can and talk to them. I mean, I've talked to 3 people in MLB this morning already, and I didn't even get to work until 12:45. So, I mean, it's good to keep those contacts up and always talk to them. Just it doesn't always have to be business. You know, sometimes you see something that happens good to them or their team, you bring it up to them.
Yeah, and obviously when you get to the minor leagues, don't be afraid to grab hold of the tarp and pull the tarp, because you're going to be doing it a couple 100 times, especially when, in your case, when you were in the Florida State League, every day about 4 o'clock, liquid sunshine alert, and then the tarp was always on the field.
People are very proud of that in the Florida State League and other places that they pulled tarp in the minor leagues, because it shows you were the ultimate team player, and there are good stories from that, and the beer always tastes colder after the game. I did want to mention one more thing before I leave. The one biggest thing that when we got Nolan Arenado this past offseason is Nolan said that he couldn't wait to play in front of like a Tuesday night crowd against whatever opponent it was, and hear 40,000 fans. And we were all wanting to give that to him. That's the biggest thing everyone wants to say. We can't wait for Nolan to experience this. And we've had about 13,000. Our largest crowd of the year was last night against Pittsburgh at 14. But we're going to go to about 30,000 this Friday night series against the Chicago Cubs, which is going to be huge. And then hopefully by June, they're going to try to go to full capacity. But it's a very exciting time, and we're hoping to make the most of it, and hope all the fans across baseball do as well.
Yeah, Cleveland announced that the first homestand in June, everything is going to be back to normal. Masks are optional. All tickets will be on sale, and it looks more and more like Major League Baseball is ready to be open for business from start to finish. And boy, that's a great sign for Major League Baseball, especially for a town that loves their baseball as much as St. Louis.
Yeah. Well, we're excited. You guys are excited. It's great for the game in general.
Hey, get back to work, young man. Always a pleasure to talk to you.
Thanks, Ron. Appreciate it.
All right, see ya. Chris Tuno, Canfield native, made it big in the major leagues, works in the media relations department with the St. Louis Cardinals. And I kid you not, that is the best baseball city in America.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you look at the baseball cities and you narrow them down. You know, of course, St. Louis is in there. Yankees are in there. Although the New York is insane, and St. Louis is not insane.
Yeah,
because you know it's all the superstars in New York and everything like that. So it's a different animal. It's almost hard to even compare the other baseball.
Well,
cities
and there's two baseball teams in New York. There's only one in St. Louis.
I would have loved to ask, because we had limited time, but man, I would have loved to ask him what the 5 days or so that Albert Pujols was on the market was like for the St. Louis fan base, because I'm sure there was a lot of chatter from the baseball community in St. Louis to try to get Albert Pujols back in St. Louis. Obviously, it didn't happen. He went and signed with the Dodgers. But I'm sure there was like an uproar as soon as the Angels let him go. Like, we got to get this guy into a St. Louis.
You know, I'm hoping that St. Louis, or that the Dodgers have not come into St. Louis yet. I'm really hoping that they're going to be making their one and only trip into St. Louis now, or between now and the end of the year, because I'd love to see that reception when Pujols is back in St. Louis. Because Lord knows, you know, when he was with the Angels, you didn't get that opportunity on a yearly basis. All right, we're going to take a time out because on the other side, we got baseball to talk about, high school baseball, tournament baseball. That's coming up next. Stick around. It's a Wednesday edition of Running Point on ysnlive.com.
Ah, the details. Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods is one fine ride. Perfect cornering, superb handling, sporty and stylish, power to spare, plus awesome mileage. Yeah, jaw-droppingly beautiful lines and well-appointed with luxurious trim. Put more oomph in your life and start beholding the molding. Find your home's fine hardwood at BairdBrothers.com.
Planning a project around your home or rental property? Trust the electrical service to the local experts with 62 years of serving the Mahoning Valley. Joe Dickey Electric is your local go-to source for responsive, reliable residential electrical work. From everyday maintenance and repairs to new installations, electrical upgrades, and safety inspections, no job is too big or too small. Call Joe Dickey Electric today, 800-549-3976, or visit DickeyElectric.com. That's DickeyElectric.com.
For heating, cooling, and indoor air quality, the Mahoning Valley trusts MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning, offering worry-free repair, service, and installation. Call MP Vivo today for a free estimate.
MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning. We're your energy-efficient experts.
If you're looking for a new Ford vehicle, why shop anywhere else but Tri-State Ford? Choose from our great selection of new Ford models. Plus, we've got you covered with our exclusive Tri-State Ford Advantage. It includes a 10-year, 200,000-mile warranty with your new Ford. Come see why so many customers from the Tri-State area buy their new Ford at Tri-State Ford.
Customer focus, community driven. Tri-State Ford East Liverpool or visit tristateford.net.
All right, welcome back to a Wednesday edition of Running Point. Ron Potesta with you alongside Mr. Anthony Hartwig. Before we get into the high school baseball, did want to remind everyone, this evening at 6 o'clock up at Eastwood Field, it's an evening with Scrappers manager Coco Crisp. If you have not gotten tickets yet, tickets are still available. They're $25. This includes food, drink, a Q&A with the Scrappers manager, an autographed photo of Coco, and you'll also receive one ticket to any May home game. That would be the first homestand of the season. And, of course, the homestand begins 1 week from tonight is the home opener against State College, and they will be home all the way through next Sunday. So that Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday game, you would have a ticket to any one of those 5 games. So if you're wanting to go to see Coco Crisp, an evening with Coco Crisp at Eastwood Field, it's tonight at 6 o'clock. Tickets are $25. For more information, call 330-505-0000. That's 330-505-0000. Or go online, mvscrappers.com, mvscrappers.com.
And the other exciting thing is the Scrappers announced the rest of their coaching staff, too.
Indeed.
Which is something that we were waiting for. Now all we need is a roster.
Yeah, and the roster will be coming out very soon. So lots of things percolating, and of course the season begins on Monday in Morgantown, West Virginia. 1 week from today is the home opener, and I'll be doing the games on ysnlive.com. 7:05 start. The Scrappers playing State College 1 week from tonight. So there you go. All right, let's dive into some baseball. Shall we start?
Want to start with your alma mater?
Absolutely.
They won a slugfest with Sebring, 12-7.
Yeah, they were up 9-0 after 3 innings, and then Sebring said, maybe we should get back into this game. And they did. They scored 4 in the 5th. Then Leetonia scored 3 more runs. They had a 12-4 lead going into the top of the 7th inning. Sebring made it interesting. They scored 3 runs and had guys on base, but Leetonia was able to escape with a victory. So the Bears move on. They'll play the top-seeded Jackson Milton Blue Jays in the sectional title game on Thursday.
Here's your prize for winning the game.
Yeah. You now get to take on the best of the best.
Leetonia, they've never had a question on whether or not they can hit. They can hit the ball really well. It's been their pitching that's been really troublesome. So if they're going to win, they're going to win games like that where it's 12-7. 11-8, somewhere around there. So they have to hit to win. So.
Yeah, it's and their defense gets a little questionable too. But yesterday they committed. They only committed 1 error yesterday. So it was a relatively clean game for Leetonia. But yeah, they got an uphill battle against Jackson Milton. They're the top seed. Jackson Milton is a really, really good baseball program. And I would expect Jackson Milton to move into the district semifinals. It would be a gigantic upset if Leetonia were to get them in the sectional title game.
McDonald with a impressive win over Lordstown in their first round playoff game, 9-1. Miles Culp was on the hill for them and threw really well. And McDonald wasting no time in the sectional semifinals with Lordstown, just kind of sweeping that game along. And you'd like to see teams that have the clear advantage in sectionals not waste any time and just kind of put these teams away.
Yeah, they're going to have their hands full. Heartland Christian will be their next opponents on Thursday.
The bad thing is they couldn't take anything for granted. They threw Miles Culp in the first game, and it's going to have to be a secondary pitching to get them through against Heartland Christian, who will probably throw their ace.
Yeah, and their ace is a pretty good pitcher. Yeah, pretty good pitcher. Let's see. Badger, the 14 seed, knocked off Maplewood. This is in the Struthers district. 13-4. Badger gets the 7 seed Southern Local for their reward.
I feel like there are a lot of Struthers districts, by the way.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of Struthers districts. This just in. Lisbon a winner over Mineral Ridge, 8-6. That was kind of a wild game.
Kind of a shocker too. I think Mineral Ridge was the higher seed, right?
No. Lisbon was the 10. Mineral Ridge was the 12.
Okay. See,
but it was I expected a little bit of a lower scoring game. But both teams they hit the ball. Lisbon doesn't have a bad draw. They got Fairport Harding, who is out of their Fairport Harbor, and who's out of their district. They went to Struthers. They said, "No, we don't want no part of our hometown. We're gonna leave." So Lisbon will play Fairport Harbor coming up on Thursday at 5:00. That's a 10 versus an 8. And then in the other sectional title game, Lowellville defeated Wyndham 15-1. So Lowellville is seeded 18. They get Warren JFK, the 4 seed. One would expect JFK didn't use anybody because they had the bye, so they'll throw their ace. And one would expect Lowellville had to throw their ace. So now you got your number 2 going up against JFK's number 1. That's a tall order.
And maybe the best baseball game of the night came not even in the tournaments. It was Canfield and Boardman playing a regular season game, and 1-0. Ryan Petro just stepped up and won a straight-up pitcher's duel and pitched extremely well like he has all season.
Yeah, and they
it's a shocker.
they still have an undefeated record, and they'll go into the sectional title game undefeated, and there you go. We got to run down the rest of these Division 4 tournament games. Made mention Leetonia beats Sebring. They get Jackson Milton in the sectional title game. Wellsville buried Chalker 28-4. Wellsville is going to be playing Western Reserve, and this is going to be interesting. Which Western Reserve team shows up? Is it the Western Reserve team that is on their A game? Because if they play their A game, Western Reserve is good enough to win a district championship here. They are good enough.
Yeah.
But I've seen them play a few times this year. One time they had their A game for about 4 innings, 5 innings. Another time, about 4 or 5 innings. I haven't seen an A game from start to finish out of Western Reserve. If they can play an A game consistently, oh boy, they could be a tough team to beat. Bristol shut out Brookfield.
Consistency is that.
Yeah, you got to have consistency, especially when your a potential opponent in the district semifinals is Jackson Milton. You better be consistent.
That rivalry might rear its ugly head again.
Boy, no kidding. Bristol knocked off Brookfield 10-0. Bristol is going to take a trip to Matthews, the 11 versus the 5. And Lake Center Christian, the 2 seed, is going to get St. Thomas Aquinas, who upset number 16 Ashtabula St. John. St. Thomas Aquinas is the 20 seed. Lake Center Christian is the 2 seed. They jumped up into the Jackson Milton district, or Jackson Milton's 1 seed. The 2 seed said, "Yeah, we'll come up to Fairport Harbor and we'll play you guys." So be curious to see how that turns out for them.
Where, geographically, where is Fairport Harbor?
Up in Ashtabula County.
Okay.
Yeah, up in Ashtabula County.
Is it actually a harbor?
I don't know. That's a good question. That's a good question. All right, Division 3. We have sectional title games in Division 3. Ursuline is traveling to Garrettsville Garfield. Ursuline is the 8 seed. Garrettsville Garfield is the 3 seed.
But we talked about when this draw came out, Ursuline 8 seed doesn't mean much because Ursuline's schedule is so up. And I don't think they'll be intimidated at all by the fact that they're going to a 3 seed spot. They're going to come into Garfield ready to play. And if the G-men don't, respect Ursuline, then, things can get ugly pretty quick.
This game is going to be entertaining because Cardinal Mooney did not have to use any pitching or any baseball at all. They got a no contest against East Palestine to go to the sectional championship game, or sectional finals, if you will. And they're going to play Columbiana at Firestone. And Columbiana would have been the favorite had Mooney played Palestine, assuming Mooney threw their ace. Well, now that's off the board, I should say. Mooney's going to throw their ace. Columbiana's going to throw their ace. This is now going to be a much more competitive game on paper.
Yeah, and the question always on Columbiana, and it's always on them no matter what the sport is, how much does the EOAC prepare you for teams you'll see in districts? And Mooney's one of those teams they're going to have to prove that they're prepared for with their schedule. Now, Columbiana baseball played a pretty high schedule this year.
Oh, yeah.
Went out and played some pretty tough teams in non-conference. So they should be adequately ready for anything Mooney has to offer. And with their ace throwing, I still think I see them as the favorite. But yeah, you're right. It'll be a lot tougher now that Mooney kind of got to bypass East Palestine, which we never like to see happen.
No.
We never want to see someone go non-contest. Now that's one for softball, now one for baseball. So.
Yeah, it's a damn shame that you didn't have a game there. And truth be told, I don't even know if Mooney would have thrown their ace against East Palestine. It was a 7 versus a 23, but we'll never know. We can tell you that Liberty threw their ace, Dwight Parker, at Middlefield Cardinal, and he threw a 3-hit shutout. But Dwight Parker's not going to be pitching in their game against Burton Berkshire. Liberty will go to their number 2 starter. Now, earlier in the year,
that's when things got kind of sketchy.
They, early in the year, they were good. Middle of the year, not so much. Liberty will see. If they can get a victory against Burton Berkshire, it would be a 14 upsetting of 4. But you get Liberty into the district semifinals and you put the ball in Parker's hands, Liberty's a sleeper here if they can pull this upset off.
I think so, because then if the way baseball tournaments are set up, if they win the sectional, then they can go right back to Parker for the district semis.
Yeah, absolutely. One game that was already played in the sectional title game, for whatever reason, Springfield shut out Southeast 5-0. So Springfield is already in the district semifinals. They are going to play the winner of Liberty and Burton Berkshire, and that game will be played at Bob Scene Park. So
Springfield, another team this district is full of teams that have legitimate shots of winning it. Springfield just one of them.
No question.
And they had that big win just last week against Ursuline. Make that statement.
And this was all because South Range decided they wanted to jump up to Rootstown's district, which is the Niles district, and challenge Rootstown. And then 3 through 6 said, hasta la vista, we're going to go down to Struthers and all hell's going to break loose down there. So it'll be fun.
You guys have fun now.
Yeah, you guys have fun doing your 1 versus 2. Speaking of 1, Rootstown will be playing Newton Falls this evening at 5 o'clock in Rootstown. Rootstown played Heartland Christian over the weekend and beat Heartland, both aces through. Rootstown, obviously a really good team when their ace throws. that question has been, how good are they when the number 2 pitches? Well, we're not going to know until potentially the district championship game, because the ace is going to throw today.
We think. We don't know.
And assuming they beat Newton Falls, the ace would throw in the district semifinals.
We assume that'll be the train of thought, but like we've said before, some coaches think the other way, where they'll throw their number 2 in a game that they think they can have a little bit more control over, and they'll save their ace for the big games, quote unquote. So you never know. We assume and we think the logical choice would be to throw him tonight, but who knows how Rootstown coach's staff thinks.
2 teams that took a bye and went into the sectional finals.
Waterloo's in that district too, right?
And they got beat by Newton Falls.
Okay.
Yeah, they were beaten 4-1.
That's surprising, because I thought Waterloo was going to be one of those teams that really could make some noise. They didn't play a lot of games. They had 3 out of their 4 wins were against really quality opponents. I think they beat Garfield, lost by 1 to Springfield, but hey, you don't show up in the tournament.
That's it. 2 teams that took a bye into the sectional finals. Number 9 champion hosting number 11 Grand Valley. South Range is going to be playing today at 5 o'clock against United. United knocked off Camel to get to the sectional final game. United out of the EOAC, they're a pretty good chance they're going to be facing Mr. Mikos today.
Mr. Mikos. Yes, I think so. I think Hannick has already proven that that's his strategy, absolutely. So that's the one team that we know will throw their number 1 in the semifinal / first game that he can, and then let the chips fall where they may. But because of the break, he can throw Mikos today and then throw him again in the semifinals if they win.
Indeed. And a team that's now going to be able to use their ace is Crestview. They got a no-contest win over LeBray a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
So Sam Campbell...
So that's 2 now for baseball.
Yeah, so Sam Campbell, we were pretty much certain he was going to be starting against LeBray. Now he gets to start against Pymatuning Valley.
And if I'm Pie Valley, I'm sitting there like... Really?
Yeah.
Because Sam Campbell's the real deal. He can spin it. So Pymatuning Valley's going to have a heck of a battle on their hands.
Yeah, and by the way, the winner of that game gets the winner of South Range and United. We could be seeing, you don't want to jinx anybody, but you could be seeing a South Range Crestview matchup in the district semifinals,
and it would probably be
Mikos versus Sam Campbell. And Mikos throws close to or at 90 miles an hour. He's a YSU guy. He just signed
officially signed last week.
And then you have a kid that outside of Crestview, not many people have heard of Sam Campbell.
He's good.
But good reference.
I got it.
Good reference. He's under the radar, but a really good-looking pitcher. It'll be fun to see, assuming that Crestview is able to win, and that's a big assumption.
Crestview got to take care of business first.
Because Pie Valley's the higher seed.
So does South Range. We've had plenty of teams prove throughout the last 5-10 years that baseball is fickle, and if you don't show up, but anyone can beat you at any time. And so both teams have to take care of business, and they know that. So United will come in hungry. They're not going to be a team that's scared of South Range. They're going to be aggressive. They have nothing to lose, so I guarantee they'll probably be a little bit hyper aggressive on the base pass if they get on. So gotta be all tightened up if you're South Range. You can't take anyone for granted.
All right, let's scoot up to the Division II. This is going to be the Louisville district.
This is fun because Louisville makes a trip to Salem.
I don't even know what to think about this one because Louisville has owned Salem. Their sports has owned Salem sports for years, whether it's football, basketball. But man, this Salem team is good.
They're good.
They're really good. And I know that in the past Louisville was, in Salem's head. Does this baseball team succumb to that whole Louisville is better mentality, or does Salem finally say, "Hey, we have the goods, know your role, and we're sending you back to Louisville with an L"?
I haven't seen Salem play personally because I haven't been out yet. But from what I can tell from their interviews, their social media presence. They are a team that is not going to fall into that mentality. I mean, if Louisville beats them, it'll be because we both went head on and Louisville just played a better game. I guarantee if they lose, it will not be because they were intimidated or they make mental mistakes because they're tight tonight. I can almost guarantee that Salem will be very tight, not in a bad way, tight like, well-oiled, good. Their pitching staff is phenomenal. Their offense hits very timely hits. They know when to show up in big situations. And then Louisville comes in with that independent schedule that they play up a lot. They're a big Division II team. They play a lot of D1 teams in their schedule. They're going to be really prepared. They're going to be confident because, like you said, they've handled Salem before. Their baseball team beat Salem. Not going to be intimidated by the road trip. And they're going to be really motivated because if they win, they get to go back home to the Louisville district. So it's going to be because if Salem wins, they get to go compete at their field. So it's almost like a double kick.
Oh, yeah.
But if Louisville wins, they're playing for that chance to go back home. Let's go. I bet that'll be their rallying cry. And they're both YSN schools, so it's a win-win for YSN.
No question. And the winner of that game will take on the winner of tonight's sectional final game between number 5 Niles and number 8 Streetsboro.
Niles is sneaky. Like, no one's been talking about Niles. And they're just kind of sitting there as a 5 seed.
Yeah, they've been under the radar.
Good, very under the radar. They can make some noise in this tournament.
Yeah, they're going to have to get past a pretty good Streetsboro team. They shut out Ravenna to get to the sectional title game. Streetsboro, the 8 seed, should be an interesting game. Mogador Field, the 3 seed, is going to be taking on number 10 Notre Dame Cathedral Latin. They eliminated Youngstown East a couple of days ago, 22-0. Notre Dame Cathedral Latin is the 10 seed. Mogador Field, the 3 seed. The only question is, did Notre Dame Cathedral Latin throw their ace in their game against Youngstown East? If they didn't, all of a sudden this game gets a whole lot better.
When you win 22-0, you might have thrown them for like an inning, and it's been like, okay,
yeah,
we're good.
Well, and again, let's keep in mind by the OHSAA rules, if the starting pitcher threw less than 50, you can pitch him on 1 day's rest. Well, they threw on the 17th. The 1 day rest would be the 18th. Right. That player would be eligible if he had thrown less than 50 or 50 or less pitches.
Unless those runs came late and they were in a dog fight for 3 innings, I would imagine that pitcher got under 50 pitches before they pulled him with a win that monumental. The thing about Notre Dame Cathedral Latin, we talk about this in every sport, you have to take their seed and put it up about 3 or 4 spots because of the schedule they play.
Sure.
So they're a 10 seed, but they might play like a 5 or a 6 seed. So it'll be a tough game for anyone that plays them, whether it be the 3 seed, the 2 seed, the 1, I don't care. They're going to be prepared just like Louisville. The schedule they play ultimately prepares them for anyone they'll see in their division district.
Poland, the 12 seed, knocked off Girard a couple of days ago, 5-1. So they move into the sectional finals where they will go to number 7 Chardon. Poland had some familiarity in the first round, taking on a team that they've known. Now, not so much.
The thing about Poland is they're young. The core is there, the pieces are there, but when they've been losing this year, it's because they've made young mistakes. The mistakes you would expect from a young roster. So if they can pull on this season's experience and kind of go into this tournament and use that experience to not look like freshmen out there, not look like sophomores, which the sophomores are technically freshmen since we didn't have the season.
This is true.
A lot of sophomores and freshmen on that team. So if they can kind of, we've said it before, not know what they don't know, then they can be I don't know if they're going to win the district, but they can be a team that can scare some people as a 12 seed because you don't put a lot of respect on 12 seeds. So they could sneak up on some people. I wouldn't be surprised if they upset Chardon and then, go from there.
All right, let's go to the Struthers District. Canfield is right there, waiting on Ashtabula Edgewood, who knocked off Conneaut 2-1. So the 18 seed will have the unenviable task of going into Canfield to take on a really good Canfield team. And they probably used their ace, so now they're pitching their number 2 against Canfield.
There's no reason not. Canfield. There's no reason not to throw your ace because you get them in the district semifinals, no matter how many pitches.
Exactly. Exactly, because the sectionals are the 19th, which is today. The district semifinals are the 24th, 5 days from now. The maximum number of days that you miss is 3, according to the OHSAA. So you can use your ace today, use your ace again in the district semis.
That's why Canfield has such a good chance, because they don't really have an quote-unquote ace. Because, Petro just threw a shutout against Boardman and 1-0. Vital Cheese can throw just as well. Those two are going to go 1 and 2, and it's like, what do I do?
Yeah. And oh, by the way, they got about 3 or 4 other kids.
They got 3 or 4 other that'll probably be just reserved to bullpen.
Yeah.
And come in and close games out or save some pitches for their aces or whatever it may be. Good luck scoring more than 2 or 3 runs against this team.
It's an embarrassment of riches is what Canfield has in the pitching.
It's almost like what Champion had in 19. When you look at their pitching staff for softball, you're looking like your one pitcher has an ERA that's .07, and then the other pitcher has an ERA that's like .98. And it's like, no matter who you throw, you're hosed.
Yeah, you're just not going to score very many runs. That's it.
They didn't allow a single run throughout their whole tournament run.
Yeah, craziness. The bottom part of that top bracket, Perry was a winner over Geneva, so the 13 seed will be taking on number 11 Marlington, who knocked off Cheney 25-0. So number 11 Marlington taking on number 13 Perry. Marlington coming from a really, really good conference. They got prepared because of Salem, West Branch, Kansas South. They'll be a very good team.
Yeah, I think so. I think Marlington's going to be a well put together program, and 11 seed based on record because they got beat up so much in the EBC. But kind of like when we talk about maybe SEC football or SEC baseball, like they beat each other up, so the record's not going to always be spit and shiny, but that's because they play each other, and you had 3 or 4 quality teams, and especially quality pitching staffs in the EBC. So to go up against that in your conference, in Alliance, Salem, and West Branch, all with pitchers that would start anywhere else, in the area, except maybe Canfield.
Yeah. Well, Bruni would probably start
Bruni
there.
Would probably start
yeah, he'd probably start there, and then everyone would be like, okay, come on, this is unfair.
So, that's a tough conference, and Marlington's probably the best 11 seed in any division.
Yeah, they're pretty solid. Howland is the 4 seed. They will be hosting number 15 Lakeview. Lakeview got past Hubbard, the 14 seed, 12-4. Lakeview and Howland are no strangers.
I was shocked at that score because I thought Hubbard would really put on a show in this tournament because we talked about it. They're a team like their softball team that has had a lot of close losses to a lot of good teams this year. And they went down to Tennessee. They lost by 1 run to state champions down in Tennessee. And, man, they just didn't.
Yeah, a little disappointing.
Right, it was. It was kind of like, oh, man, 12-4.
Yeah, but
props to Lakeview.
Yeah, you tip your hat to Lakeview. That was a solid win for them.
Monica came in and pitched really well and also hit really well, led them to victory. And Lakeview's moving on against a conference opponent. They get to knock out Hubbard, and it's always an added bonus when you get to knock out a conference rival. You get to kind of stick it to them a little bit.
Well, Lakeview is no stranger to Howland. Now that they're not in the same conference, but they know each other pretty well, and this will be an interesting game, to say the least. And finally, in the bottom brackets, West Branch, the 6th seed, They get no stranger. That'll be a third meeting with Canton South. Canton South knocked off West Geauga 8-4. So West Branch, Canton South, Game 3. Here we go.
No strangers at all. And what's fun about that is no secrets either. I mean, you know exactly what their pitcher throws, exactly what his pitches look like. And I guarantee that if you look at that game and you look at the at-bats that happen, majority of the game, both teams are going to have quality at-bats. Now, whether that comes in results, that's baseball. Sometimes you can have a quality at-bat and you're out. You know, it happens. So, but I guarantee the at-bats in that game will be almost all quality at-bats. You know, nothing like a 3-pitch strikeout or you know, a weak pop-up in the infield. I think that the hitters will be ready. It's easier to adjust to pitching than it is for pitchers to adjust to hitters, especially in the high school level. So I think I would expect maybe not a high-scoring advantage because pitching is still really good. And like I said, a good at-bat doesn't mean good results. But I would think a very clean offensive game from those two teams with really strong quality ABs from both sides.
All right, Austintown Fitch is going to be playing tomorrow. They're going to be playing the winner of today's game between number 11 Massillon Jackson and number 35 Madison. One would assume Massillon Jackson wins this game. The big story coming out of the Canton district is the fact that Gavin Bruni's done as he was hit by a pitch 1 week ago, and then it was determined 5 days ago that he broke his arm. So he's out for the rest of the year.
It's brutal.
And, you know, if he had pitched, who knows? I mean, I still contend Alliance could have very easily gone into the district championship game if Bruni's pitching the sectional finals and the district semifinals. Even though the 1 seed Mayfield is would have probably been the district semifinal opponent.
That's the danger of going up to hit when you're that good of a pitcher. You know, you're getting a ball thrown at you, and unfortunately, and especially in high school, because these kids don't always have the best command at pinpoint accuracy in high school. So you're going up in that batter's box, someone's throwing the ball at you. You know, average high schooler, it's still at 80 miles an hour, not 90 like Bruni's. Thank God for him that he wasn't throwing to himself. But it's still a projectile thrown at 80 miles an hour can break something if it hits you. And that's the danger. You know, you're that good of a pitcher, you're going up to hit, and your immediate career is kind of in the hands of someone else at that point.
Now, he's a left-handed pitcher. He's also a left-handed hitter.
Right.
And if you're a left-handed hitter, now we don't know this for 100% certainty, but one would assume there's a much better chance of getting hit on the right arm than there is on the left arm.
I'm pretty sure it was his pitching arm.
If it is his pitching arm, then woo boy, that's tough.
I can't confirm that, but I'm pretty sure it was.
Yeah, but it's a broken arm's a broken arm. If it's his pitching arm, I'd be curious to see where, what kind of a hit, no pun intended, this takes on his draft stock. Now, having said that, and I mentioned this yesterday, a couple of days ago, I went to MLB.com. Jonathan Mayo, who's a friend of the show, and we'll have him on during the course of the Major League Baseball Draft League to get his take on the Major League Baseball draft. I don't know if he had much to do with this top 150. Gavin Bruni's not in the top 150.
That was before he...
And that was before. So, who knows? I mean, a lot of people were saying first round. A lot of scouts were saying this kid has the ability to be first round. And yet you look at an MLB.com article with the top 150 draft prospects, and his name ain't on that list. That's tough.
Kind of surprising from a lefty that can throw in the 90s.
Yeah.
I mean, one, you don't see a lot of lefties, and two, you don't see a lot of lefties that throw 90.
Yeah, no doubt. Boardman already knows their opponents for tomorrow. Boardman will be playing number 19, Green. Green knocked off Ellett yesterday. 3-0.
Beat that Power G, Boardman.
Yeah.
Beat it.
Number 19 Green against number 13 Boardman.
Beat it like Michael Jackson. Beat it!
Oh, Lord. As long as they don't moonwalk off the field, it's all good.
Do it!
Yeah.
Beat it!
Billie Jean. Yeah. What was the
one batter's glove too?
Yeah.
Better be a white one.
What was the old joke? What is who was? I'll even throw out a player. What does Jose Canseco and Michael Jackson have in common? They both have a glove on their hand for no apparent reason. So there you go. So that's the baseball tournaments. Division I, they'll be playing tomorrow. So we've got D2 and D3 today. D1 will have their the sectional title games tomorrow, along with D4.
The best time in if you're a spring sports fan, you got the baseball sectionals rounding up, gearing up for districts, and then you got softball district championships tonight and tomorrow. And then next week you'll have baseball districts while softball teams go into regionals. And we looked at it. The softball teams, we have guaranteed spots where we're going to have teams in regionals. So
and
next week's going to be a lot of fun.
Each other in regional championship games. I'm not
one
trying to
step
jinx
at a
anybody.
time.
I know we got to go one step at a time, but man, there's a possibility.
I know,
which is pretty damn cool.
And that'll be Wednesday will be the semifinal. Saturday will be the final. So after next week, we'll know who's going to Akron Firestone Stadium for the state tournament in softball.
Yeah, and
then we'll also after next week know which baseball teams made it out of the districts.
Yep.
Which I'm very interested in, especially that D3 one.
Yeah,
a lot of teams in that Struthers Division 3 district that we can legitimately say have a chance to win that because South Range win in denial.
Well, and is South Range's gamble going to pay off, going in denials to taking on Rootstown if they get that far? There's a lot of questions to be answered for sure. Hey, I hope to see a lot of people out at Eastwood Field. I'm going to have the pleasure to introduce Cocoa Crisp tonight. Starts at 6 o'clock tonight up at Eastwood. Ballpark food will be served, so hamburgers, hot dogs, and get your questions ready for Cocoa Crisp. I'm sure Cracker Jacks and peanuts will be available as well. So that'll be a good time. I'm looking forward to it. Again, the season starts 5 days from now. Home opener is 1 week from tonight.
Never had a Cracker Jack.
Really? You've never had a Cracker Jack?
I'm not even clear on what it is, to be honest.
I got to get a box of Cracker Jacks for you now.
All right.
I mean, it's kind of like
I've seen them before, but I'm not entirely clear on what they are.
Yeah. I mean, you might like them. I mean, I know you'll like the prize inside because there's always a Cracker Jack prize inside.
Cracker Jack.
Yeah.
It's fun to say.
It is. It's fun to say. All right, that'll do it for the show. I'm riding solo tomorrow because he's got
district
games to
championships
do.
in LeBray tomorrow.
Yeah, and apparently we can't tell the bus driver, hey, do you know who I am?
Do you know who I am?
Yo, do you know who he is?
Hey. Now that we've offended all the mafia people.
No, we haven't. You haven't offended me. That'll do it for the show. We will talk tomorrow, noon to 3. Running Points.
We'll have some district champions to talk about.
Indeed. Tomorrow, noon to 3, Running Point on YSN.